What is going on, everybody? Party people in the house. It is Friday. You ain't got a job. You ain't got nowhere to be. And you ain't got nothing to do. It's a Friday reference for those of you who remember it, but it's October the 27th. Many of you guys got jobs. Many of you guys got places to be. And many of you getting ready for work, or you're at work or something to that effect. Or maybe you're watching it on the replay. Maybe you're watching it instead of doing the work. Whatever it is, I just appreciate that you're watching. I appreciate that you're supporting. I appreciate that you're right now getting ready for Texas versus BYU this upcoming weekend. I know you got to be excited. I know you got to be hype. And so thank you. And thank you for choosing to check out the Old Fashioned Sports Show. I am your host, your main man for the next few hours, Anwar Richardson. Welcome on in. Rainy Friday that it is over here in Austin. Yeah, rainy Friday. Appreciate that rain, Aaron. That's making my weeds grow, Aaron. And I realized, I checked my email last night. Apparently my HOA, they don't appreciate the weeds that are out in front of my house, Aaron. Got it. Apparently they said it's my second notice I received. I didn't remember getting the first one, but I had to look. I did get one 2 weeks ago. Now I got another one last night. They said they give me another one. The next one is $25. So now now that this rain's coming, I got to get someone to come out here and get all them killer weeds that are out there because they don't appreciate what's going on. It's okay. It's all right. Luckily, they can't get into the backyard. It's worse back there, HOA. How you feel? It's worse back there, but you can't come back there because you come back there, I was going to light you up. I was going to like a Christmas tree. Come up there with your camera if you want to. Bang, bang. Trespassing. So don't do that. You better just take pictures of the front. So yeah, man, I wish this rain would stop, Aaron. Because I don't need another one for my HOA. Shout out to the people with no lives. That's all, everyone who's an HOA member. Shout out to all you people who got nothing else better to do than to sit out there and measure people's grass and stuff. I appreciate you. I mean, it must be nice to have nothing else better to do in life than to worry about someone's lawn, because God forbid that my weeds might bring down your property value. It's not like it's overtaking the house. It's just a little bit of thing. But yes, my weeds has all of a sudden affected a house that you have no intention of selling anyway, that you're going to give to your kids in a trust fund. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. All right, rant over. Like, they never signed their names to it either, because let me know who that person is. I'm gonna find you coming out here snapping pictures in front of my house like you the damn police or something like that. Like it's an episode of Cheaters and you out here snapping pictures and stuff. You want to try to get me hemmed up on some stuff. I got you. It's all good. Good afternoon. Good now. Rant over. I had to let that out to somebody. So I had to tell my family what's going on. It is the Old Fashioned Sports Show. I'm your host, Anwar Richardson, a reporter for OrangeBloods.com. I can't take that thing for granted because sometimes I realize as people watch the show, they may or may not know what the hell I actually do, why the hell they're listening. So a reporter for OrangeBloods.com. It will be in June, it'll be 10 years at Orange Bloods. 10 years, man. So time flies by. I remember when I first got here, I thought to myself, all right, I'll get here do this thing for about a few years and then I'll be out. And here I am, firmly entrenched, planted roots. So there is that. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat. Speaking of planted roots, I got people who plant roots as far as being supporters of the show. I want to shout them out and say hello to them and see how everybody's doing. So Dale Coleman. All right. Dale Coleman first in the chats, man. I see you, Dale. I think that's your first number one spot. Good for you. ZO_V. My favorite Hennessy bottle is in here. Bobby, the portion of Bobby and Whitney. He's in here. Top 3, Bobby. You must have got off your bender from last night. I see you. Hope you and the missus are doing really well. Mr. Hookham is in here. It's Freaky Friday. Hey, get it if you can, baby. Hey, your mind's telling you no, but my body. No, just joking. Soto 806. He's in the house. Mr. Lubbock himself. Rodolfo. Golly, Rodolfo. Golly, you wake up and choose violence all the time, Rodolfo. He just says sit Jay with 1 TD in the last 18 games. Like, good morning. Good morning. How are you? How was your evening? How is your family doing, Rodolfo? How's your dad? Like, nothing. He's just like, yo. Rodolfo just wakes up. He's like, man, this Jay Witt thing's bothering me, dog. I mean, listen, Rodolfo, here's the thing. You will be put out of your misery after at least 5 regular season games, and then whatever amount of bowl games that Texas is privileged to appear in. So 5 plus 1, 5 plus 2, like whatever it is, eventually, just not right now. But while Mr. Trucker himself, Mr. Buck Wild is in the house. Mr. Breaker 1-2. Buck Wild, do y'all still say Breaker, by the way? Or am I just using some 1980s terms? And Buck Wild, do you guys still use CB radios? Or is the technology more advanced? I literally don't know. Back in the day, I used to have, you go to Radio Shack, and I had like a one of those you can CB radio like listener kind of thing, so you can like listen. I don't know if you guys ever had like the walkie-talkie things, and you can like try to listen to other people or talk to different people and like have friends. Like that's how you kind of communicated. Like Aaron, they used to have these things called walkie-talkies, and they have a bunch of different channels. And depending on the channel, you actually would it was like the original group chat. You would actually just be able to talk to random people who was ever in the range, and you can talk, you can have conversations with people, and people make friends. You can just be an a-hole and say bad things. Like it just is what it is. So, and I used to use that in the trucks, little CB, so I'm curious, Buck Wild, do you use that, or is there technologies more advanced and I'm just stuck in it? So some do, you don't. So what do you use? He's like my cell phone, like a normal person. Russ, yo, what's going on? Anthony, what's going on? Caesar Torres is in the house. Good morning to you. Gary, Big Daddy Lewis. Okay, that's like me calling you delicious, Gary. I ain't gonna call you Big Daddy no more. You got me the first time, but that's like Cedric the Entertainer having me call you delicious. I can't call a grown man Big Daddy. All right, this is not the Dwight Howard show. Okay, we're not doing that. So so I'm gonna call you Gary Lewis from now on. All right. Jesse's in the house. Al is in the house. Just Another Fragrance Reviewer is in the house getting ready for work. Chris Nelson, he's in the house. Yo, what's up, Chris? Big Tex is in the house. Chris Bennett, the original OG of super fans. I know, Chris. I recognize you. You're a pioneer, Chris. Big Tex, you said you got a good feeling about this game, and you feel like Maalik is going to do awesome. From your mouth to God's ears. Arthur, good morning to see you. Barbs, number 10 is in the house. Text Guy 2 is in the house. Good Friday morning to you as well. Money B, my homie, he's in the house. What's going on to you, Money? Good to see you, my friend. And Money, I went and flew United a few weeks ago, Money, and I had a great experience. Like I might start messing with United more often. I'm just gonna tell you like that. I might not mess with American Airlines. Like American Airlines is always on that BS. United was like really smooth. I went to Bush Airport. That thing was so nice out there, man. United may have me, man. They may have me. Kiki, what's going on to you? Good morning to you, sir. I hope all is going well. In the basketball world, you guys got any tournaments coming up, or you guys about to wrap the season up? Texas Tippett is in the house. Brandon is in the house. Jared's in here. Doug, my main man, Doug is in the house. Good morning to all the OB peeps out from, how you call it? How do you say it? Cibolo? Is that how it's called? Cibolo, right? Is that Cibolo, Texas? I don't know. I've never been out there. I don't know where that's at. Blake May's in here. Jay Ward, my friend, is in here as well. Darian is in here. Jimmy D is in here. Shy Frazier is in the house. Shy's a music group, SHAI. You can just look it up. Gabe is in the house. Cuffing season's coming next week, guys. Cuffing season's next week. It's going to get chilly. It's going to be cold. You're going to need a boo. Cuffing season's next week. Chris Wood is in here. Good morning to you. A bars HOA be driving around that nondescript Corolla taking pictures of weeds and trash cans. Struggle of a decent neighborhood. It's struggle, baby. It's a struggle. They met. Hey, listen, where I grew up, there's no HOA. I can tell you that damn much. Where I grew up, there was nothing like that in the housing that I grew. Now out here in the burbs, they all in my stuff, man. All in my business. Want to know, your trash can out too late, something like that. If I go out for a vacation, I gotta call my neighbor. Can you put my trash can back? Because God forbid, like HOA, man. They tripping. Now who's like, what kind of loser are you to get on like the HOA board? Like how bored are you that you're like, man, I want to be the person that enforces all the rules in my neighborhood because I care that much. Get a life. And by the way, I know my neighbors watch this show. I know sometimes my neighbors watch this show. If you, as one of my neighbors, watch this show and you're on the HOA board, you too are a loser. If you're 2 doors down from me, 3 doors down is for me, across the street from me, you little snitch. Wait till I find out. You go, no, I'm just joking. Not really. Major Alexander's in this house. Touchdown Texas 1 is in this house. Alfred Juarez is in this house. Let's see. SEC Hookham is in here. Give me 1 second. Tom G. Gary Lewis. Yeah, I already told you. I ain't told. I'm gonna get this damn name over here. Get me on some kind of craziness. Mike Torres is in this house here. Agent Z is in here. Stanley is in here. Anthony Barnett is in here. Daniel Zamora is in here. Don Keating, I hope I said it right. The Ops is in here. Okay, the Ops is in here. You out here in the H now? Nah, man, I'm in Cedar Park. Ops, I'm out here. The Ops, you should know that. You're part of the Ops. Harges is in here. And I want to make sure Mark Mustache. I like that one. It's a good burner account name. And No So is in here. Sark After Dark. El Jefe is in the house. And then, of course, there's some super chats that are in here early. Let's see what y'all talking about. Good morning. So everybody, I'm in a mood today, man. HOA got me mad. Let me find out. Let me find out who that person is. I'm going to take, when I get my weeds pulled, I'm going to put it in your yard. That's what I'm going to do. Tom G. Super chat. Good morning, Anwar. Been absent for a few days due to work, I've noticed. Looking forward to tomorrow. Sark talked about his QB room. Time to show up. So, first of all, I noticed you have been absent. I haven't been around. Haven't received a text message from you in a hot minute either, so I don't feel no love there. But, the whole work thing, I understand how that goes. But, yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Sark talked about his QB room. It's time to show up. Listen, one of the things I'm going to get into, I'll talk about a little bit later, Tom G, is that, this is one of those things, that this is one of those games for me that, Sark has that representation. Everyone likes to use a lot of terms loosely, right? QB whisperer, right? We always have to use that, right? Well, you know what, though? This is that time. This is that time when Sark has that name, that reputation, the moniker of QB whisperer. This is where, I would say it like this. And I know, I think we can say it now, right? Because Lincoln Riley's at USC. So, it's not like we're popping up somebody that's at OU. But I think like you would think for your most part, if a Lincoln Riley quarterback gets injured, whoever the backup is going to be pretty damn good, right? Right? You feel pretty good about saying that. Like if Caleb Williams goes down, I don't know who's behind him, but he's probably going to be pretty damn good. He's probably going to be okay. He's probably not going to skip a beat. This is kind of where Sark needs to be. It can't be, oh man, just fell off a cliff. It's got to be, hey, you develop QBs. This is literally your area of expertise. You should be able to do it. It's kind of like having a chef, and all of a sudden, something happens in the kitchen. Someone else on the line is not going to be there. You got to feel like the person who's the head chef has got to be able to, like, man, I can make this happen. This is what I do. I'm a head chef, a master chef, whatever the words are, the titles are. this is where that he's got to be able to do that. So 100% agree with you, Tom G, and hope all is going well out there with you. Good morning to you, Stanley. Good to see you. Stanley Klein in the house. Gary Lewis. Gary Lewis. I ain't calling no grown man Big Daddy. Nope. That is for the women or woman or whoever, woman. I don't want to get in trouble. Lady. that's for her to call me. I ain't for me to call another man. All right, come on. Big Daddy Love. Hey man, listen, Big Daddy, you gotta get a new nickname, man. I'm gonna call you GL. We call you like that. We can, I'm not gonna call you anything else but Gary. Yo, G. That's your name for now on, Gary. G. That's what I'm calling you. You're a G to me. But we're not. I ain't worried about like, hey, yo, what's up, Big Daddy? How you doing? How's everything going in your city, Big Daddy? Man, I'm good. Can't wait to see you, Big Daddy. You're gonna be coming out soon, Big Daddy. What is this, like an LL song? What? No, we ain't not doing that, Gary. G is the name going forward. We got any more super chats? By Taurus. I heard Babalu is HOA press. Man, let me find out. That Babalu might be my Babalu. Nah, you know what? I don't think Bob cares that much. Because Bob used to have a golf club membership out here and he kind of let that thing go. So I don't think Bob cares like that. But I'm gonna ask him. But Bob stay in them streets out here in our little community, and so he always knows everybody, something like that. So I'm gonna see who's taking these pictures out here. In fact, you know what? You're not gonna do out of fairness. I'm gonna get the picture, and I'm gonna show it to. I'm gonna give it to Aaron, and I'm gonna show you what they put, and then you guys can decide if HOA is justified in giving me the notice. That you guys can make the decision on that one. More than likely, you're probably going to side with HOA. I'm just being honest. More than likely, you're gonna. But it's like anything. It's like anything in life. It's like anything. You get caught, and you realize it's like getting a speeding ticket, right? You realize, like, all right, man, I understand that I might have been speeding. But you really have to give me a ticket? Like we understand that. Nah, I'm cool. I won't do all that. I'm gonna get my people out here. I'm gonna get them to clean it up. It's gonna go all well. I probably don't want to get into a huge war with my HOA, so I'm gonna let that thing ride. I'm just gonna use this as my bully pulpit, and that's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's do this. Let's do a quick break. When we come back, Steve Sarkisian addressed the media on Thursday. Let's kind of recap some of the things that he said during that press conference. Obviously, Tom G referenced that as well. And then I'll also kind of get into my keys to victory. Just so you know, kind of today, by the way, first portion of the show is brought to you by, before I forget, El Presidente, my main man, Eric Torres, who's going to have to help me buy a house. So I'm not with an HOA somewhere. I don't need to be in an HOA. So I need to be out there in the wilderness, paint my driveway pink, paint my house green, and have nobody tell me what to do. If you're looking for freedom from HOA, go to my main man, Eric Torres. He will get you covered. He'll find you a home that's got no HOA issues. He'll also find your home that has HOA issues if you want to make sure you actually have resale value for your home for people like me who they're going to come down the block and be like, man, I don't want to live down the street because this dude don't cut his grass. I mean, it's what left's of the grass. It's not really much left, to be quite honest with you. Eric sells homes DFW. He's got a man with the master plan. If you're looking for a home in the DFW area, you don't defund the HOA. Sometimes by tourists people say LOL and they don't mean it, but realistically now you can see that was a literal laugh out loud. That actually was pretty funny. Hit up Harry Torres. There's a QR code. He's the man with a master plan. He'll be on around the 10:20-ish hour to give us his picks. And in addition, Geoff Ketchum will be here at 9 o'clock. I got some fun stuff planned for Geoff. I haven't touched base with him, but he's supposed to be in on at 9 o'clock. So if he remembers, Geoff Ketchum will be here at 9 o'clock. We're going to talk. So I got some fun things planned for Geoff today, in addition to football. It's a fun football Friday. So which means, by the way, we're going to have some fun today. All right, we're going to go into our weekend smiling and enjoying ourselves. So, yes, you're going to get football. But for those of you who like to clutch your pearls, if I go off topic and talk about something other than sacred football, by the way, hang in there. It's going to be all right. Just allow the little breaks here and there. So, Fun Football Friday will be on the agenda. So when we come back, let's talk a little bit about what Sarkisian talked about. We'll try to get into my 5 keys to victory. See if we can squeeze in some buy or sell before Ketch gets in here. It's Friday, man. Let's have a fantastic time. We'll talk about specs a little bit later. Got a lot going on. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Well, kind of along the lines that he was talking about, and the easy question would be asking about receivers in the NFL and who did this or who did that. But I want to go the other side. Which quarterback did you face off against, or quarterbacks, that read the line better? That y'all had something dialed up, a corner blitz or something, and you got Peyton Manning going, said G's coming, and ruining the play before it starts. Who were the quarterbacks that just pissed you off?
Man, it's hard. I mean, it's only one person, and I'd say, I mean, honestly, and nothing against the Manning brothers, but
you can say me. It's fine.
The Manning brothers. I mean, they wouldn't. The thing about them was, as long as you can hold your disguise, you could trick them. Like they couldn't. I mean, they were really, really good at just like identifying one person, because they probably studied the film so much that they understood everybody's movements. So if one person will move in our secondary, they would know our defense. So like we used to always, for the Mannings, we used to always kind of wait till like 5 seconds to move if we would disguise it. But from once that play clock started, we stayed like in a cross look and just stayed there. And we made life difficult for those 2 players. So the only guy I'm gonna tell you, man, is freaking Tom Brady. And I don't like saying his name because like he always gets the glory for every damn thing, but it's him. I mean, I'm just honest. I mean, honest. It was him, man. Like we couldn't do nothing when we played him. Like he figured everything out, and I don't know how he did it. And he every game he played, he's always done that. So he knows something that no one else knows, and he's not telling anyone either.
He's a Michigan man. He learned under Harbaugh. They had a fan in the stand recording the play sheets in advance. That's how Brady did it.
Harbaugh. There, I said it twice.
Oh my goodness.
That's how he did it.
That's what it was. It was Brady, man, and he was just really good, man. He was really good. He understood everything, you know.
That's the OB Outsiders that you can catch here in the evenings. What is it, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights here on the channel? So make sure if you're ever up at night or check the replay, check out OB Outsiders and see what those guys are doing. That is a locker room for you there. So let's talk a little bit about some football. Get into some things. But by the way, Aaron, before we go too far down the road, let's talk about a little bit of specs before I get too far off the rails for today's show. Listen, guys, hey, check this out. I know it's 8:30, and you think to yourself, man, it's kind of early to be talking about some alcohol, something, but nonetheless, it's never too early, because in the next hour and a half or so, Specs is going to open their doors. And you got to be thinking to yourself, man, I got Halloween parties that are going on this weekend. I got to make sure I have a little something for that, right? You got Halloween coming up next week. You might want to be that cool person that hands out candy and then hands out tequila shots. That's kind of what I do at my house usually. I'm not sure I'm going to do it this year. First of all, it's going to be cold next week. Did you guys check out the temperature? It's going to be like in the 40s on Tuesday. And I got a broken pinky toe. Like, I can't see myself sitting out there. I don't know if I'm really that invested in the spirit of Halloween to be sitting out there in 40-degree weather trying to hand out candy and tequila shots. Like, I don't really know if I don't know if I get down like that. But if you do, there's a plenty of options for you. And then they got the game this weekend here at home, right? So for your tailgating needs, you're going to have a party at home, and you're not going to go out, but you're going to have it at a party at home just for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for some, fellas, maybe you should go ahead and do a little something, set the mood right, get yourself a nice bottle of wine, switch it up, do something different, ladies. Do something for your man. He's had a long week. Go out there and get him his favorite bottle of something. Give him his favorite beer. So, you know what, baby? Come on. Let's enjoy the weekend. Put your feet up. Watch football. Here's a beer. I'll get you some wings. Oh, yeah, that sounds like that. Oh, you got that. You got a winner. If you got that winner and you want to be a winner, check out Specs because they got the deals for you.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Big Tex, you said put some insulation wrap on that pinky or that sucker's going to stiffen up. Oh, man. I know I got to figure out what to do, Tex, because it's a weird thing for me, man. It's like, so the pinky tail's broke, right? And it's kind of like if it's this, it's like it got like sliced that way, right? So it's like sliced. But so what happens is when I wear the boot, right? So I got this boot that I wear, right? But it's fine with the boot. But then if I try to put a sock on, it feels like there's pressure. So then it makes it hurt more. So then I want to wear the sock, right? Because then I like to have it a little bit free. So I like to have it free, but then when I need to go out, it's just a complex. And so now when it's going to get cold and I got to put something warm on, I don't know what to do. I just do not know what to do and how I'm going to manage or navigate this whole situation. So yeah, that's what I got. Craig, how did I break it? Oh man. So I'll make the story quick. So I was down. I took my kid to one of those like little trampoline places. My youngest son, several weeks ago when I was out of town in Mexico, and he had fell into the place, and so he was crying. So I went. He's 5, so of course that happens in those things like every 2 minutes if you have kids. Like that's what happens in these indoor play places. And so I was trying to walk around like some little monkey something or other thing that they had, and I took a step. I stepped into like one of the little trampolines, like a long one, right? So you just bounced all the way down. So don't think round. It was like a long thing. As I stepped in there, so I lost my balance. I was like, oh man. So then I'm bouncing and I'm trying to get out. And then as I'm trying to get out, and you have to wear socks, my toe went like this. And I hit it, like I hit the edge, like hard, right? So now I'm on the ground, but at least I'm helping my son, right? So I suck it up for him. So I'm limping for a couple of days. I feel like, okay, maybe it's getting a little bit better. A few days later, it was like 10 o'clock. It was like a Sunday. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I had taken a nap during the day. And then I woke up and it was like evening time. And I was like, oh, let me make sure the house is locked up, right? Turn on the security system, everything like that. I got these bedroom doors that kind of flip open like that and then close like that, right? The doors were open, and then same damn toe, I went and hit it in the side of the door. I mean, and it's like I hit it perfect, like on the edge. I don't know which one did it, but I know whatever I started at the trampoline park, I finished that night. I was in pain. I'm talking about some serious pain. So I just went ahead and the following day, I went to Sarkeesian. I was wearing my sandals out there. I was in so much pain, and I finally just went to the doctor, got the X-rays, and that's when they told me that it was broken. So that was a few weeks ago. It was right after it happened during the bye week. So right during that Thursday during the bye week was when it happened, and that Sunday afterwards. So it's been broken for the past couple of weeks. And that's kind of how that's kind of the story behind it. So just waiting for this thing to kind of heal up. There's not much I can really do. I've been taking some relieve pain. I've been using like some Rogue products. And if you can see it, like they have like a little salve. And so I just it's kind of like It's like a little ointment kind of thing, like you like put on your Vicks, like a vapor rub kind of thing. And so I kind of rub that on there to kind of help it, and with the pain and everything. So it does help. I'm not gonna lie, it does help. But that's the story of the pinky toe. That's my pinky toe. Ooh, you don't shut off my pinky toe. I still got to send you that, Aaron. I still have not sent you that clip, so you know exactly what I'm referencing as far as that's concerned. So, okay. There's a reason, Jamie Deegan, there's a reason why we have to sign a waiver and they aren't responsible for the injury or the death at the jump. They are. Listen, my kid, my son, he's 5, right? And before the time he had turned 2, like he was probably about 20, I don't know. He was getting closer to. And anyway, long story short, same kid, he like fractured his knee out at one of those trampoline places. Took him to the walk-in clinic, and they called it a trampoline fracture because apparently so many kids come in there with the same injury because of those trampoline places. And so they were like, oh, yeah, he's got the trampoline fracture. I'm like, really? This is what we're talking about? Yes, absolutely. So you're 100% right there. No, Zio, I haven't bedazzled my boot. It's right. This is a normal boot, man. It's just a normal boot. Like, it's just regular, man. It's just a normal boot. I don't bedazzle it. Come on now. Don't put that on like that. What are y'all talking about? What's the inference there? Steve Sarkisian. Vic Torres says, let me find out you got a Mexican abuela. Mine be putting that on everything. Man. Man, that's some Robitussin, right? You just go put some tussin on it, right? Just you heard you broke your toe? Put some tussin on it. These are easy to address the media on Thursday, guys. And put your buy and sell questions in the chat too if you can. Let's see if we get a chance to get to them today. Okay, so go ahead and start loading those up for me. Let's see if I can talk. I'm going to go through what Sarkisian talked about. And I'm going to talk about my 5 keys to the victory. And then, of course, I'm going to have Geoff Ketchum coming in here today as well. So jam-packed show. And, of course, El Presidente will be in here right around the 10:20 hour. So hope all is going well. Hope all you guys are doing good, too, by the way. Hope all you guys are doing good. Hope you guys have a good weekend as well. He talked about being excited to be at home. Talked about, and then he also kind of gave an injury update. Well, if I'm really giving me a big injury update, if we're just being quite honest with you, he said most of the injured guys will be available. What that means, I don't know. I don't know what that means because someone asked him, it's crazy. Someone asked him like if he could put like a designation of like probable or questionable on them. Like it was something to the effect of that thing. And Sarkisian was like, well, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, Sark, you were in the NFL. How do you not know what that? You literally know what that means. Like if anybody knows what those designations mean, you know what that means. But as it relates to Ryan Watts or Alfred Collins or Cole Hudson or Gavin Holmes, he says they're available. To what degree, we just don't know. So we will find out. We clearly know that Maalik Murphy will start. That part, he did at least give us that portion of it. And he's kind of said he wanted to wait and see how long it would take for somebody to at least to bring that up. And so he was good enough and gracious enough to let us know what we already knew, which was Maalik Murphy is going to be the starting quarterback on Saturday. Again, not a surprise to anybody who's out here. He said both guys had a good week of practice, but he also just praised Maalik, started saying his understanding of the game is elevated. He said that, he actually said that Maalik had his best practice that he's had before, which is interesting because I think one of the things that Geoff Ketchum pointed out recently was that, when has Sark ever said he's talked about Arch having a good practice, but when has it ever been said that Maalik has had a good practice? Well, there you go. He said it on Monday, right? That it finally came out of his mouth that Maalik had a really good practice. And that's not a huge surprise because One of the things I'll give you one thing that I reported in the war room last night. I can't give you everything that I reported in the war room last night. If you're unfamiliar, like our war room is our weekly insider edition that we put out on orangebloods.com. But Tom, best practice of his career. I mean, it's a short career. I mean, he barely practiced last year, and then we're basically talking about practice this year. So, I mean, sure. Okay. It's like me saying I've had my best show of today. I mean, okay, sure. I guess, best show of the week, right? I don't know. I mean, sure. But he did say that, Tom. He did say that. And I'm just joking, by the way. But yeah, he did. He was very complimentary of Maalik. And one of the things I had in the war room, like I said, I can't put everything in there, but I did hear that this week, what was told to me was that he was on fire. That's what was related to me, and that was passed on to me, was that he was on fire in every single way. So there seems to be this belief and optimism behind the scenes that when it's all said and done, that Maalik Murphy is going to go out on Saturday and do the damn thing. Yeah, I will take a more cautious approach to that. I mean, practice sounds great, but it goes back to the Kurt Bowles question from a couple of weeks ago, or I guess it was last week, about, do you ever have a bad practice? Because Sark said they did, but I've never heard him actually say, you know what, could have been a better practice this week, but we're hoping the guys get it together for, nothing like that. It's always like, man, great practice. Guys are dialed in, guys are focused, they focus on the task at hand, really like the energy. I mean, he loves to practice, and I don't think he's BSing. I really believe it. I don't think he's saying it just to say it, but nonetheless, lots of good things that were said about Maalik, about his practice this upcoming week, or this week, how it is. He was asked about the possibility of playing both quarterbacks, and this kind of goes to the thing that I have been telling you guys, since last week and early part of this week, and really kind of the off season, which is, I haven't heard, and I've been very consistent on this when I've told you guys this, right? I hadn't heard anything about Arch being that close to Maalik in this competition, and others would say, oh, that Arch was close, or these things were there, and I was just always like, that's not what I heard. Like, that's not what I've been told. And I kind of, I think earlier this week was trying to spend some time like shooting that down. And, here we go. Once again, he's like, Maalik's going to start. Hasn't made it. He said hasn't made a decision if he's going to get Arch in there or not. They've discussed it. But they've got to make sure it's in the best interest of the team. He sees a value in it, but he's not ready to make that call yet. AKA Maalik is going to be my guy. And, there's not necessarily going to be any quarterback controversy. Maalik has done this thing. He's earned it. Kind of the things, one of the things I've said earlier was that, you've got to give Maalik a shot. You got to give Maalik a chance, because the moment, you throw in Arch, you're basically telling that man, hey, transfer portal's open whenever you want to go. And that's what you're telling him. You're telling him transfer portal's open. You want to if that's what you want in life, you can have it. You don't want that. So you've got to give this guy a shot. You got to give him a chance. But more importantly, he's earned it. He's earned it. And he sat there. He's waited. He's been patient. And so now we'll be able to see. One of the things I did ask Sark, because I wanted to know, like, hey, what's the leash? What's the leash look like? What as relates to Maalik. And he said, look, like he told me, he's like, in a perfect world, he stays hot and plays a great 4 quarters. But then goes, in reality, most games don't go that way. He's like, and so what he says he's trying to gauge is what the guys are supposed to be seeing, where the eyes are supposed to be. And as long as he can tell Sark what he saw and why, he goes, then they're okay. If it gets, but and that, by the way, is the reason why Hudson Card lost his job here previously. When he was competing against Casey Thompson, he won the job, and then people asked, well, why did he get benched against Arkansas? And did he not get a fair shot, or anything to that effect? It was that key thing. He wasn't able to explain the why of certain things. He couldn't see certain things. There were throws that were open, and he just couldn't explain it. Still was young, still was green. And so that's why Hudson lost his job. And that's also for Maalik, that becomes the thing for him. You want to keep his job, you want to stay in the game, he's got to be able to do all those things. And if he can do all those things when the bullets are flying, even if you struggle, Sark's going to be good. It's when you can't explain it, you don't know what's going on, that's when you got to sit you. That's when I say, hey, man, okay, we'll work on this another time, but we can't do this right here, right now, because we're trying to win a ball game. So there is that as far as the conversation is concerned. He was asked about the culture and how much he leans on that. And I will tell you, this was probably the most excited I've seen Sark about answering a question in a while. And he talked about being fired up about their culture. If there's one thing he leans in more than anything else, it is their culture. And he talked about that win against Houston being a culture win for them, how they didn't play their best football, but they found a way to win in the end. He talked about great teams having great culture. He talked about the culture that Alabama has and what Saban's been able to do over the past couple of decades. And so he really, really praised where they're at, the culture that they've built, and was been really complimentary of all those things. Talked about Jonathan Brooks being a very, very well-rounded running back. Being a complete back, catching the ball out of the backfield, making people miss, showing speed on the second level, just being very versatile, very, very happy. He says very proud of what Brooks has done and also becoming a good leader on this team. I keep saying, like, it's a good problem that he has. It's a very, very good problem that Sarkisian has, that he's got a running back who's as good and as talented as Jonathan Brooks, and also being able to have C.J. Baxter and not necessarily having to force any of those issues if he doesn't need to, because he knows what he has in a backup running back. So that portion of it has been good. He's asked about BYU, talked about wanting to win. I don't think the BYU story is kind of a big deal, honestly, to most Texas people. I think it's probably a big deal for Sarkisian. I don't necessarily think it's something that you guys are looking at and saying to yourself, like, whoa, Sark's playing BYU. All right, tell me more about his history there. You're like, just beat your damn team. just beat your damn team. And can you call it a day for us, please? I think that's all he's really saying. And then he also talked about Slovis, talked about the quarterback, that they have some good schemes and he gets the ball out pretty quickly, has experience, how he's been around some good coaches at USC, Pitt, and BYU. How they spread the ball around, how they have to defend everybody. And of course, they have multiple personnel grouping, shifts, and motions. So that was kind of what the highlights of everything that he said and everything that he had talked about. Del Coleman, you said you was in early, but, went back to sleep. And I'm still talking. Man, that is kind of crazy that all that other stuff is there. Oh, Super Chat just came in. Super Chat will stop just about everything. So Texas, Tippett. Is it Tippett? It's got to be Tippett. It can't be Ty Pitt. So it's got to be Tippett. I just don't know what that means. Unless it must be his last name. What's up, Tex? Nonetheless, Super Chat, $5. Put 5 on it. That's enough to hit a Popeyes on a Tuesday. Is Sark more intense behind the scenes? I just haven't seen a lot of intensity out of him. Texas, it all depends on what you describe as intense. Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you like this. Let me see. Let's see what kind of mood I'm in today. What am I going to tell you? Texas, Sark can get down when he wants to get down. I'll put it like that. Sark, if he wants to Sark has gotten into people's asses in the coaches' meetings. I can tell you that much. Sark has chewed people out previously. Sark has chewed people out when it comes to recruiting or losing recruits. So does he walk around like that all the time? Nope. But can he turn it on when he wants to? Absolutely. We've seen the intensity. I mean, you saw him. You saw him in the Alamo Bowl waiting to come out, right? That Sark that you saw that didn't like somebody touching on him, that's there. That's there in him. The thing is, the difference between Sark and some of the other coaches is that's not how he walks around 24/7. He's not like that all the time. But can he get intense? Like, absolutely. I've heard of Sark chewing people out. Sark can get into it. Sark and I've gotten into it. Like, you guys know that. You guys know that Sark and I have done some back and forth before. So he can get, and you've seen him get a little snippy sometimes in press conferences. He'll take that smoke every once in a while. So yeah, I would say he gets intense behind the scenes. But I think the thing about him though is that he tries to handle this thing in a more of a like talk to you professional manner, more so than like I'm just going to chew you out. Because to understand, like Texas, these young kids nowadays, you can't just chew them out. Like they don't operate like that. They don't necessarily always take to that. I mean, they'll take to the coaching portion of it for sure. They'll take to coaching, but how you say it is almost as important as what you say. And so, and them understanding the why, like, hey, I'm getting on you, but this is the why. Like they'll do that. So yeah, Sark can get intense behind the scenes. I would say that I would. Yes, that's fair. Yes, he does. So hopefully that answers that question for you. So but just to understand, he's I say it like this, like it's a morning show. So Dale, you kind of right. Sark is not a punk, but he's also not an a-hole. Is that you can get the difference? Like he's not a punk, but he's not an a-hole. I think that hopefully that makes a difference. And I try to be respectful for all of you guys who have kids in the car right now. And that may not have helped you because your kid may be like it. But at least it's not something that if they got the iPads on, that's not something that should hopefully catch their attention. Like, Daddy, what are you listening to? Like they have to be listening pretty intently. We got another one, super chat that just came in as well. Jay Lee, what's going on, Jay? It's been a while, man. How are you doing? All you guys, I'll be honest with you, all you guys in the chat, I take the time to try to memorize you guys and memorize the names. Like Blake is in here and everything. Calvin, I just saw in here. Calvin Gilroy's up there. Like I try to take the time to memorize a lot of you guys. It's a lot, not gonna lie. But the people who are consistent. So Jay Lee, I hope you're doing well. Buy or sell. It's SEC Matt, by the way. Buy or sell, regardless of who our QB or opponent is. Each of our last games will come down to the last few possessions. Buy or sell, we lose at least one more game. Well, I'll buy on that, Jay. I don't want to buy on it. It's a begrudging buy, right? It's like buying cold medicine, right? You don't want to be in Walgreens trying to buy like cold medicine, but you're like, man, But I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's a defense that hasn't been playing up to par over the past couple of games. He's got a young quarterback that's going to be there. That's going to go through some obvious growing pains. Like that's going to happen. And you've had a team that's kind of been consistently as far as the winning is concerned, but there's some questions about it. And so yeah, BYU. I think Texas beats BYU, but what happens versus a K-State? What happens versus a TCU? What happens versus an Iowa State? And to a small degree, Texas Tech, but more so those other teams. I'm talking about the K-State, Iowa State, TCU on the road, Iowa State on the road. Like it's hard to think that you beat all of them. I clearly would want that to happen for you and us. I want to cover a good team. Like I want to make plans. Like I'm selfish. I'll let you guys know. I want to cover playoffs. I don't know what that is. I've never done that. I want to cover a national championship game. I've covered a lot of things. I don't know if I've covered a college national championship game. I don't know if I have, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I want to do that. I want to see the Texas that you guys have talked to me about, and the Texas that's on LHN before it goes away. I want to see all that. So, but can I see them losing one more? Yeah, not more than one though. Like 2 more, I think would be a stretch. And by the way, 1 more it would be the 10-2 prediction that I had before the season, and everything would finish. But finish where I would have thought. But Jay Lee, if it could happen, hell, take it. I'll take it for you. I'll take it for you. You don't have to say nothing. I'll take it for you. Let me cover a team that wins the next 5 games, wins the Big 12 championship game, and then all of a sudden we're talking about like playoff stuff. All of a sudden we're talking about going down to New Orleans the last week of December, and then we're back in Houston again. Yeah, I'll take that. And Quinn's playing. I'll take that 7 days a week and twice on Sundays, Jay. So let's see what happens. What's going on? What's up? Did someone say good morning? A Rogue Shop, good morning. Why is Richard in the chat? Is Richard in the chat? Richard, is he? Richard, I was just telling everybody about the salve that I've been using on my broken pinky toe. I've been telling everybody, Richard, about this. I've been using it. I just put it on this right before the show got started, and I've been telling everybody about it over the past couple of days. Not to say that it's the magic beans of the world, that somehow, some way, this is some sort of miracle cure. But for whatever reasons, it has helped. It has been a little soothing. And the salve has. If you can explain to people in the chat, Richard, why that is. No, it doesn't. It doesn't smell like the Vicks Vapor Rub either. It's just got a little. Smells nice. It doesn't smell. It smells pretty nice. It doesn't stink like the Vicks stuff stinks though. It doesn't smell anything like that. But yeah, the salves really help. I'm talking for all your little aches and pains. It's really soothing. Sometimes I get like the knee pains, and I just rub the salve on there. And again, you can see like I'm using it, right? So I'm not talking about something I'm not using. Like I'm literally using it right now. But yeah, Richard, Richard, you're in the chat. If you can explain to people why the salves work and what's in it that it helps people. There's some people out there. He says, people have been like just another fragrance reviewer says he wants to get something for his back. Other people are talking about it. So Richard, why don't you go ahead and engage with some folks and let them know. You might, this is a product they really need to have. We got Kanan Brown super chat is in here as well. Kanan, because I've seen a lot of talk about a Wally Pipp situation with Maalik and Quinn. I'm not buying that. But what do you think it would take for that to happen? I mean, Maalik would have to look like he's winning the Heisman. Like he would have to perform like something crazy like that. Like Maalik would have to be on some crazy hot streak that you and I don't see coming. And so I would say that's what it would take. But I don't see that happening. Like I don't see that. So I'm going to tell you the only scenario that I see that Maalik Murphy plays the rest of the season and Quinn Ewers doesn't come back. There's only one scenario that I believe would be on the table for this. Okay, you ready? It would be if Texas drops 1 or 2 games. They're at 6-3. 7-3 with 2 games left, 7-3 with 2 games left, something to that effect, right? And at that point, Quinn is having to decide, am I coming back to help this team get Alamo Bowl positioning as opposed to Texas Bowl positioning? There's no Big 12 championship to play for. There's no playoffs to play for. Am I really risking myself for Texas Tech and the Alamo Bowl, or am I just going to try to get myself healthy for the NFL draft? That, to me, Kanan, is the only scenario that I can see where Maalik takes over. Outside of that, if Maalik plays well, that's great, but it's Quinn's job when Quinn is healthy and ready to come back. So the whole Wally Pipp situation, I mean, that's easier said than done. You know, that's way easier said than done. Now, look, I'll tell you this, and I will tell you this clearly, and I've admitted this. I've been wrong before. I was wrong about Jonathan Brooks when people said like he could be just like Bijan. And I was like, you are smoking crack. You're like Pookie and New Jack right now. You're like, it keeps calling me, man. Like that's why I thought most people were, and I ended up being more wrong than right about that one. So maybe if I end up being more wrong than right about this one, so be it. I'll take the success for sure, but I'm just not quite sure that's the way how this is going to play out. And I'm not quite sure that's the way it's going to go down. We got more super chats, Aaron? Or was that it? Okay, cool. Let's do this. Thank you for, by the way, Richard, as you're kind of explaining everything that's out here. The Solve/pain cream. You won't fail a test, but the edibles and smokables you will fail if you use daily. Okay. The Solves definitely help for sure. All right, let's do this. I'm always excited to talk to Ketch, but today I got some fun stuff planned for him, and so I'm more excited than usual. So let's do this. Let's go to a quick break, and then when we come back, I'm going to have Geoff Ketchum in for our Friday segment. But I got some fun stuff that I think Geoff is going to really enjoy. So we'll do a quick break. We'll be right back with my main man, Geoff Ketchum.
Right. As far as Wingo, he's Jay the activist is saying Jamar Chase. I guess he's been telling you that before. I'm not sure I see as much of a Jamar Chase. Do you know, like I was saying it earlier, I kind of see and this isn't to be saying like he can't be like a Chase. I think he has the same kind of around the same height. So I think I'd have to look at Jamar Chase's weight on mock draftable with what he was coming out, but I think he's kind of got a little bit kind of more BMI to him. He kind of reminds me of a dude who is kind of like right now, like a taller Devin Duvernay, a guy who's 6'2" as opposed to like 5'11" or whatever Duvernay is, but thick. You know how Herman says like Duvernay wore armor is what Herman would always say, right? He's a guy he looks like you maybe line him up at running back sometimes, even though he appeared a little bit just kind of small and stuff. Man, you get up, you kind of stand next to him, you're like, dude, that guy's got a lot of mass on his body for being that fast. And I was looking it up today with the Wingo stuff when we first started doing this, and I was looking at his track times and also looking at what his forget whether his mother or his father had told that whatever the St. Louis newspaper was when they were doing a feature on him about his 40 time, that they had laser timed at 4.39. You know, at this age, Ketch a 4.39. You know, they were talking about a verified already a 37-inch vertical. This is an athlete and just a killer, soft-handed, natural receiver with a ton of versatility. He's saying Jamar Chase. I don't know if there's anybody that sticks out to you maybe as a comp. And also, I know you've already written up your instant analysis for people who haven't seen it. Just what is your read about the guy's game? Like, how does he fit in? Like, do you think he's a natural to slide in at X? He's not your most traditional kind of, he's not a 6'4" Adonai Mitchell type of body, but you can certainly play X wide receiver at 6'2", whenever you have that kind of speed and that kind of BMI.
I think more AJ Brown. If you look at him,
I like that. Because he could fill out to that size, right?
He's a big. Let's just talk about who he is right now.
Okay.
In high school ball in the state of Missouri, there's just nobody that can touch him. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger than everybody. There ain't a whole lot of like. I saw someone I was asking earlier for like a Duncanville DeSoto score. He's never been involved in a game like that in his life where it's like, how many D1 guys are on the field? Oh, there's 30 guys between both rosters. And it becomes a little bit of like men versus men, right? Where it's like, well, hey, there's Caden Durham over there and Colin Simmons over here. And they're all different, but like they're ballers. I don't know that he gets a whole lot of that right now in the state of Missouri. When you watch his highlight film, you notice a couple of things. One is like, holy shit, man. Like he's just physically more developed and stronger than like anybody else he's playing against.
Yep.
And then you realize, oh, that 10.55 track speed as a junior
Oh, goodness.
is real. Like you realize, oh, he's bigger than everybody, but he runs away from everybody too. It makes watching his film sometimes comical because like they'll just get him the ball any way possible. And then guys aren't able to like bring him down, but B, they can't catch him either.
All right, let's go to our Speakeasy Lounge and bring in the man. I don't even know there's a myth about him. He's legendary around these parts, though. Geoff Ketchum. Good morning, Geoff. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm dragging. I'm dragging a little bit today. Like about 5 minutes ago, I was walking around and I was like, you know what? I could use a day off. I don't know when that happens, but it occurred to me about 5 minutes ago. I was like, you know, maybe when we're done, I'll go lay down for 2 hours. No, I'm good. I'm deliriously good. You know, you get the best of me when I'm delirious, and I feel like I'm delirious today.
Well, so Ketch, perfect, okay? Because listen, I've come up with something, and I've kind of revamped it from my own. So, you know, the best thing to do when I see other things, I was on Alex's show, and he kind of had me like, he would have me rank things in order, right? And I was like, that's kind of cool. So every week Alex has me do rank things in order. But today it's kind of a fun football Friday, you know, where we're going to talk football. But I want to start off with having a little bit of fun with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Let's play a game. And I'm going to give you 5 questions, Catch. He has no clue what's going on. He's unprepared for this. And the game is going to be called, Catch, One Has to Go.
One has to go.
One has to go. And I'm going to give you a list of 3 things and 3 options. And on that list, you've got to choose the one that has to go. Okay?
Fair enough.
Number 1, Catch. Are you ready?
Yes.
The Oasis, Rudy's, or Kirby Lane. One has to go. Which one loses?
Rudy's.
Really?
It's not an anti-Rudy's thing. Like the Oasis needs to stick around because it's a little piece of Austin. Like, you know, it's touristy, yes, and the food's not great, yes. But I would be bothered most if that was gone of all of the things. And you know, Kirby Lane, that's local as well. Rudy's, there's a lot of barbecue joints. I don't know that there are a lot of Kirby Lanes or Oasis.
What has it been? And I know you don't work there.
But I'm okay with Rudy's. Like, I'm not a Rudy's hater, just so you know. I don't like the Rudy's in Waco. That place sucks. But, like, in general, like the Rudy's in Austin, hey, man, they can get it. It's a solid place.
That Rudy's in Waco is kind of a smaller Rudy's, by the way. It's not good. Okay. All right. Is there which one is the best one in Austin? Is the one off of Research Boulevard? Is that the best one?
Probably. Yeah. The one on 360 is not bad though. Like it's weird. It feels like, you know, they're both solid, but 183 is perfectly fine.
You've lived here for a long time. My question to you is this: why is the food so mid at the Oasis? Like, what is it? Is it a profit margin thing, or like what? Like, I've never known a place where everyone's like, the food is mid, it's not that good, but you're just there for the view, and everyone's okay with it.
Well, because everybody's there for the view. I mean, you can serve average food when nobody shows up expecting more than average food. If you actually have a decent meal, you're like, this is all right. This was like a 6 out of 10. I'm happy.
Last thing on that one, Toe Catch. You know, there's Rudy's, and it's always like, there's always seems, for as long as I've been here, there seems to be a revolving restaurant like that's on the other side of where the I'm not saying the Oasis. There always seems to be a revolving restaurant that's there. Like I go there one time and there's another thing. Like, has there ever been a staple that's been next to the Oasis, another restaurant in that plaza? Or has it always been something different every like 2 years?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. All right, number 2. Are you ready?
I am. Look, I stay ready.
All right. I got number 2. We're going to go rap albums, okay? One's got to go. Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die. Wu-Tang Clan's Into the Wu-Tang, the 36 Chambers. Or Bun B's Trill album.
Wu-Tang.
Oh.
It's not my thing.
Just
I've never been a big Wu-Tang fan. Like, they're okay. They're okay. Like, yesterday you made a Wu-Tang reference. You know, and I like Wu-Tang, and I like that they're into some strange stuff, but like, I don't ever go out of my way to listen to Wu-Tang.
Wow. Is there a member of Wu-Tang that you like better? Like, are you a Method Man fan by any chance?
I'm all right with Method Man, but like, again, I don't go out of my way to listen to Method Man. Probably ODB, like that probably be my favorite guy, but like none of those dudes are in my rotation.
Okay, all right. I should have been. I thought Wu-Tang would probably be too easy for you, but I just threw it in there just in case.
And like if Wu-Tang's on, it's okay.
Okay.
I'm not like anti Wu-Tang. I'm just saying like it's not my thing.
Okay, number 3. Are you ready?
Yes.
This one might be a little bit tougher for you. One's got to go. The Scholastic Book Fair, early release, or the weekly teacher's letter?
Early release.
Okay.
You kids need to stay in school for the full allotment of time that they're supposed to be in school. The kids love it. The kids love it, but it completely changes. And it, we work from home. So like we make do, but like I'm trying to imagine my mom, like she's got to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so suddenly kids got half the day off. You know what happened when I was alone at home when I was a kid because my mom couldn't have somebody take care of me? I got hit by cars.
You got hit by a car?
Oh yeah.
How do you get hit by a car?
We lived in this apartment complex in Waco, and it was about when I was in the 3rd grade, and I was on my bike, and there was an after-school daycare at the apartment complex, and I was taunting the kids in the daycare because they were some little bitches for being in the daycare, and I was like, "Look at me! I'm out here by myself. I'm a grown-up at 8, and there was like a little driveway at the apartment complex at the office. And I went down the hill on my bike and got hit by a car, and the kids at the daycare cheered. They did. I was such a little piece of crap at 8 that I got taunted by the kids because they taunted me. Man, it was bad. Like I had to go get like 10 stitches in my face. I remember it was a co-ed from Baylor. It was a hit and run. So like the car took off and like some Baylor student came out and like I bled all over her couch until they could get a hold of my mom. It was pretty gory.
Wow.
The kid showed up at my door later that night and knocked on the door, and my mom answered the door, and the kid said, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry because Geoff died." And it was like, no, I didn't die. Kid, and guess where I was 2 weeks later?
Where's that?
In the daycare. Yeah. So early release has got to go because bad things happen when 8, 9, 10-year-olds are just left to their own devices.
Number 4, Catch. This is hilarious. All right, one's got to go. All right, Catch. Another Dwight Howard story, another Michigan football cheating story, or another Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce story?
Now, this is a tough one. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they're safe. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I enjoy watching her reactions. Weirdly, maybe I'm just a mark for famous people, but watching her watch Travis Kelce's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I'm really done with the Michigan football cheating story, although it kind of fascinates me. And yet I saw a tweet earlier, like 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago, where Dwight Howard was announcing, it's none of y'all business where I lay my wood in my own house. And he's right, but I didn't really need to read it. Well, so I'm going to go with another Dwight Howard story. Let that man lay his wood in his home, however, wherever, whoever he wants to, not our business.
I don't think the sexual orientation is the thing that I think he's kind of missing it. It's kind of the rape allegation, Dwight, that people are talking about more so than the sexual orientation. I don't think anyone cares about the sexual orientation. It's the fact that you allegedly pinned the person down and forced acts on them. That seems to be the thing that's the issue, more so than when you lay your wood.
Again, I'm good without the stories.
Well, that's true
he
too.
He can go to jail. I don't need to read about it. I'm good.
So you don't need to know any more about Kitty? You don't need to know anything more about Kitty?
I'm good. Because the thing is, every time there's something new, it's like, I didn't ask for that. From anybody. Anybody. You know who doesn't tell me shit like that? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Whatever that story is, I don't have like nightmares about it.
Fair enough. All right, I got one more for you. I got one last one for you. One has to go. Lubbock, Killeen, or College Station?
Probably Lubbock. Like, what the hell? What does that serve? Nobody. This is a tough one. Yeah. Look, College Station is safe. I don't want College Station to go away.
Okay.
I would miss the Aggies. I mean, they're a bit much at times. Maybe a little bit like a Dwight Howard story. But I'm okay with College Station. I don't know why Killeen is in the mix. I don't. You know what? Let's get rid of Killeen. I don't even know why that's there. The last thing I need on a Friday where I'm just a little wired, a little delirious. I don't need Texas Tech fans coming into my mentions at 3 and 5, like upset because I'm ready to do away with Lubbock. The thing is, Killeen's necessary on the I-35 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Lubbock's not really necessary. It's out in the middle of West Texas. Nobody really is trying to go out there. You have to try to get to Lubbock, but I'm going to leave them alone. But nobody accidentally ends up in Lubbock. You got to want to get out there.
You do.
You got to drive through the cotton fields, and it's not for me.
Because remember during COVID, you know, and you know, that was one of the trips. I was like, I'll just drive to Lubbock, and I won't fly because there's so much stuff that was going on at that time. That was I mean, you talk about having to want it, dude. I mean, like that's real. Like I had to want. Like I was there for my job. Like I'm
gonna let Lubbock stay because of Joe Ely and Buddy Holly.
Okay.
Like the music that has come out of Lubbock is worth saving. So Killeen, I guess Killeen can go for real.
Okay, that's fair. It is the STD capital of Texas. And the thing about Lubbock is funny because I was on a show yesterday. I was on a radio show out of Utah last night. They wanted to talk BYU. And right before I got on, one of the guys was talking about like, yeah, he made a mention about something tech related. He's like, all these fans, Tech fans, were just attacking him. And it's like, oh, let's go to Anwar over here in Austin. I was like, hey, man, welcome to the Big 12. I'm just going to let you know going forward, anytime you mention Texas Tech in a negative way, you are going. It's like Beyonce's Beehive. They are going to swarm you. Like, you just know you RIP to your mentions. They're going to put it on a message board and they will attack. I said it's more like a lot of mosquitoes out like on a summer afternoon. It's just really annoying, more so than it is that you're getting mauled by hyenas. But just know every time you mention Tech going forward, they will attack. And they were like, I didn't know that. I was like, welcome to the Big 12.
Anwar, I have a BYU girl story that I haven't told on any of the shows this week. Do you want me to tell it on your show, or do you want me to save it for today on my show? It straddles, it lives in the gray area of like, should I tell it or not tell it?
Okay, so then wait until this afternoon.
Okay.
Because if you're unsure,
I mean, it's not bad. It's just a Mormon story. I'm going to tell it anyway. So,
okay. Oh God,
we're at a Rivals convention one year. This is like 20 years ago, and this BYU like co-ed college age student shows up in the hotel that we're in, and she is incredibly good looking. She's so good looking that she's hanging out like in the lobby of the hotel or in the like the bar area of the hotel, and Rivals dudes just start like arriving in droves. Yeah. So she's holding court with like 15 dudes from Rivals. And you know, most of us are all pathetic. But she's like, she was built for this, right? She's holding center court amongst all these dudes in a hotel bar, and she's just charismatic and blah, 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 blah. So she starts to tell us, she's a Mormon, and she starts to tell us about like what it's like to be Mormon. Okay. And she said, do you know what my favorite thing to do is? And she goes, and do you know what's true of all Mormons? We drive fast in cars and we drive out of control. She's like, I probably got 20 speeding tickets. She says, but do you know why that is? Because it's the only thing in the Mormon Bible that they tell us we can't do. I can't have a soda. I can't have a drink. I can't do this. I can't do that. But nowhere does it say that I can't get into a car and drive 80 in a 35. So she explained to me that day that one of the things that Mormons are all into is they drive like crazy, that they speed. It's like their get off. It's their way of being able to do something a little bit dangerous without it violating religion. There you go. There's my BYU story.
Oh, well, man, when you asked what Mormons like to do, I was like, oh God, here we go.
She said they all. So look, I bring that up because if you're in Austin this weekend and you see like some BYU pom-poms or like, be warned. Let them do what they're going to do on Mopac. Don't drive near them. There you go.
Wow. Okay, man. Well, you know what, Ketch? My heart was racing. I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know how it was going to end. It ended way better than I thought it was going to be.
Story. Nobody had sex with her or anything like that.
Well, I mean, we talked about a group of guys surrounding.
I know. Dudes were shooting their shots, but like she was way. And the thing is, she seemed pretty committed to the whole Mormon religion. She just was bragging about how she liked to drive fast.
Can I do, speaking of social media standouts, Aaron, I'm going to do one thing, and I'm going to get into football. Aaron, find the list of unacceptable restaurants to take a date. Can you find that one in there? So, Ketch, I don't know if you saw this or not.
I've seen it.
But this thing is, for anyone who hasn't seen it, this thing has gone viral. That it started with a woman who said that she started with a guy took her to the Cheesecake Factory.
You saw that video, right?
I saw the video. She wouldn't get out the car. She would not get out the car. And she said No, like she was above this. You don't take a woman with a body like this to the Cheesecake Factory, right?
The whole thing, though, was that he had reservations to a nicer restaurant.
Correct.
And they didn't meet the reservations because she was super late in getting ready.
Correct.
So he had to like
pivot,
audible at the line of scrimmage, and they ended up at the Cheesecake Factory, which if you're having to audible, like I get it, it's not the best, but on short notice, I'm not hating on that guy.
But Aaron, do you have the list?
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, put the list up for us now. Oh, is it up?
It's up.
Okay, Aaron, I can't see it. Okay, I can't see it. Read it for me, Ketchum. I can't see it on my end.
You want me to go through the list?
Give me the highlights of it.
All right. Well, I'll go 1 through 10, or maybe 1 through 11, because 11's funny to me. Number 1 on the list of places that women absolutely refuse to go on a first date. Number 1 is Cheesecake Factory, and I didn't know that this amount of hate existed for the Cheesecake Factory.
Didn't know.
For instance, number 2 is Applebee's, and number 3 is Chili's. Surely they're not like Cheesecake Factories. They're not slumming with Applebee's and Chili's.
Come on. I mean, Cheesecake Factory is pretty. No. That Cheesecake Factory. I mean, Chili's is like 2 for 1s, right? I did Chili's and Applebee's in my 20s, right? That's what I can afford. So that's kind of like where you would be. But a good date, 2 for 1s at Chili's for the happy hour. I mean, that's not the worst thing ever.
Number 4 is Chipotle. Whatever. I don't even think I've ever been to Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Yeah, see, I haven't been there. 5, Olive Garden. Now, I get that.
Yeah.
I'd feel a certain kind of way about myself if I took a girl on a first date to the Olive Garden. Enjoy the breadsticks. Number 6, the movies, which I get that, not for the food as much as on a first date, you need to have a little bit more conversation. You need to be, you're trying to get to know somebody. It kind of defeats the purpose to take a girl on a first date to a place where neither of you are going to talk to each other for a few hours. So I understand that.
But nowadays it is an expensive date though, Catch. Nowadays, like he will spend probably $100 between the movies, tickets, the food at the theater, drinks like that. It will be an expensive date.
Number 7 is your house. Now I have found over the years, women really like a man that will cook for her.
Yeah.
Now, but the thing is, in 2023, maybe it's just not, that's the code, right? Mm-hmm. But I can say that I have cooked for a few women on a few first dates, and they were down. They loved it. They loved that I cooked for them. So I'm not telling guys that that's the play, but I feel like if I met someone in my age group and somehow it came up that I would cook for them, I think they'd be down. Like, you got to be careful, right? Like, I get not necessarily entering your home. Like, there's some leeriness of like, I was in his house that quickly, but it's time and place. I'm okay with it. Number 8, any fast food chain. I don't know why number 8's not number 1. I mean, you can't say that McDonald's at 8 and Cheesecake Factory at 1 just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, correct. Like that, and I'm trying to think, are there any, there's not really an upscale. Yeah, if it's a fast food, Whataburger-ish.
See, all of those rank number 1. You can't go fast food. You're not ready to have a date. The thing is,
could you do fast food with a picnic in the park?
No.
Hey, baby, we're going to do a picnic in the park. I'm going to pick us up some Whataburger,
There's
bottle
no
wine.
creative thought there, though. That's the thing. If you're going to go do something like a picnic in the park, what's in the basket and the amount of consideration that went into prepping for the picnic in the park, that's everything. You open up the basket and there's got to be something in there that's like, oh, wow, this was so thoughtful. If you got little low 99-cent cheeseburgers in there, like that's have a Big Mac. Like, no. That is hustling backwards. That's 2 steps forward, 4 steps backwards. Like you go from, God, he's really thoughtful, and this is really unique. And I don't know that anybody's ever taken me on a date, on a picnic before. And then you open up the picnic basket, and there's a Big Mac or a quarter pounder and some French fries. Like, no. You don't have to spend a lot. I mean, you know, you can even go like local at that point. Like there's a place by my house. You never heard of it before, but I love it. And like I went and got you got to be able to tell a story.
What about Panda Express?
No.
Just asking. That's unique. It's fast food, technically.
No fast food. Unless the girl's like, you know what gets me hot and bothered? Burger King. If she tells you, I want a Whopper. I mean, I guess you're doing what she's asking, but in general, I really think the amount of thought that goes into creating the picnic basket's a big deal. Number 9 is Buffalo Wild Wings. I think that's a fair inclusion on the list. Don't take a girl where there's TVs and sports all over the place. Unless you know that, like, hey, she wants to watch some Friday night college football. At that point, I would say take her back to your house and cook dinner for her if y'all are just going to watch some TV. But I understand the Buffalo Wild Wings, which at 10, Wingstop makes the list. You could just put Wingstop and Buffalo Wild Wings together. Like any fast food chain is all in one. Wing places. I take on the third date, we can go get some pluckers and hang out, but on the first date, not so much. And number 11, Red Lobster. I don't really have a problem with Red Lobster. I can't tell. Thing is, I went to Red Lobster when I was a kid. That was eaten out good when I was 9 years old. It was like, oh, Mom's taking us to Red Lobster. And, you know, so there's some nostalgia involved in Red Lobster. Real quickly, number 12, a buffet. That should probably be higher on the list. Number 13, IHOP. Also, should be a little higher on the list. 14, Denny's. Denny's and IHOP, same thing.
Same thing. They're catching strays out of by the way for no reason. And by the way, do you know that you've heard of White Castle, right?
Yeah.
You know that they usually sell out for their reservations on Valentine's Day?
I mean, poor people who are hopeless got to find someplace to eat.
Oh, God.
The gym, which just sounds gross.
Yeah.
Church. I guess not a lot of church going, folks. So back in the day, for you kids out there, that was like fish in a barrel. I mean, show up at church just once and like find all the good candidates, swoop in, and then evacuate the church.
But there's a lot. By the way, there are a lot of single women in church. By the way, waiting for their husband to show up.
17 and 18, I don't get Starbucks and coffee dates, because in 2023, that's like a coffee date is a perfectly acceptable, especially if you're, I've never Tindered before, or, I mean, I met my wife the old fashioned way. I was bar hopping and we met and we went from there. So we never had I don't think I've ever had a coffee date before. But it seems like the end thing to do. My buddy Ross, who he'll do a coffee first date all the time. It seems to work out just fine for him. Ice cream dates, family functions.
Of course not.
Movie night, which again, that's like chilling at the crib. Somewhere that requires a long drive. Where are these demands coming from?
Bowling. What's so wrong with bowling, Catch? That's a fun time. Bowling is a fun time that's out there. Who says I can't go bowling on a first date?
Again, I think that comes down to I would never take a woman bowling, period, unless I was told I dig bowling alleys and I love to bowl. At which point, you're right. That's an interactive date. That's, there's a lot going on. You can engage with each other, but not have uncomfortable moments of silence and pause because you don't communicate well. Like a bowling alley is not terrible. I've never done that before. Have you ever taken a woman bowling?
Huh? Yes.
Not when you're together with someone, but like on a date.
Yeah, main event. Which, by the way, it's not cheap. These women aren't paying these bills, so they're not understanding. If I take a date out to main event, I'm dropping over 100 right now on these things. Just listen to the reason why these women are single.
I tell you what, I'm a little surprised. Look, number 28 is sports events.
Oh.
And I'll just say, over my lifetime, I think some of the best first dates I ever had occurred when I was talking with somebody, mentioned like a concert or a sporting event where I've got tickets or whatever. Man, I've had some first dates at sporting events and concerts. I bought 2 tickets. I'm single. I don't have a date yet. Find out a woman's interested. That's a layup. That I rebuff sporting events. But you have to know that the girl's into the sporting event, right? You don't just take a girl to a Longhorn game and she doesn't like football or has no interest in seeing the stadium. But if she's into that at all, sporting events are layups, man. Sporting events and concerts, that's like shooting from the layup line if you're going to get some on a date. Because there's a sense of like, it's like going out of town. I didn't know about the out of town rules with women, that there's an implied amount of sex that takes place if you go out of town on a trip, which I learned the hard way when I took a date out of town once for the Holiday Bowl in 2003. And then she announced when we got to the hotel, just so you know, we're not having any sex.
Oh.
Like, matter of factly, just let me know that was the rule. That was what was happening. And then in retelling that story, I later had women tell me, oh, well, yeah, because, you got played, but the implication in going on an out-of-town trip is that you're in a have sex piece of the relationship.
Yeah, so for when I got played like that before, Catch, and then what I had to learn was the out-of-town trip is the reward for what we've done in town. So if we've done it in town, then I can take you out of town. But what I can't do is drop several $100,000 for something. No. If we do it in Austin, then okay, then I can take you to New York or Miami or whatever the case may be. But if we ain't done it here, oh no. You got to work your way up to that one. And that's why the other thing that was on that list, Catch, that I didn't like. Can I tell you? So my thing has always been. It was number 26, a bar for drinks. That's my starting point. We'll meet for drinks for a happy hour, and that's it. Like, because I'm not why am I investing in a meal? Darwin said I look for a return on investment. That ROI is serious. Why am I investing in a meal and more importantly my time, Catch, like an hour and a half, and you can just tell. Like it's hard to catch. It's hard out in these streets. You don't have to worry about this stuff. There's people out there who catfish you. They use these filters, and you think you might know something, and you don't. And then you show up at the restaurant, and all of a sudden they look totally different. Man, we got to drink. All I gotta do is get through 2, and I'm out, dude. I'm out.
This is where I feel old because I met my wife in 2005. Literally. At a bar on the eve of the Big 12 championship game here in Houston between Texas and Colorado. Like I've never had a date where it would be like, let's meet for coffee or at a bar because we haven't met each other before.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a date that I can think of. I did have a blind date once this is when I was younger. We went to the Macaroni Grill.
Oh, this is
Hey, don't judge me. And so we met up. This is a funny story. And the girl was goth. Like she didn't have like earrings in her nose. She had like a bulldog thing in her nose. And she was very goth, which is fine. Like I'm okay. But like very early on, she was letting me, we weren't the same, right? Like I got no issues with anybody in goth, but it turned out we weren't a match. So after the Macaroni Grill, I'm getting ready. We're in my car and I'm just ready to take her home.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, so where are we going to go to have sex?
Oh.
And I was like, I've never had it was really a horrible date. And I couldn't believe that afterwards that was on the table. I just took her home and dropped her off.
What?
Just so you know.
Why?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Because I wasn't into it.
Sex?
With her, yeah.
Goth?
Look, man, it wasn't the
Wow.
goth part. It wasn't the goth part. It was, she was just a little, she was a little too feral for me. And I'm okay with an occasional feral hookup when I'm single, which has been 2 decades. But at that time, like, yes, I passed. I took her home. I was a complete gentleman. She told me I was a gentleman and that wasn't exactly what she was looking for. And I was all right with that.
Catch, when I'm out there in the streets, I got a simple motto. I don't turn nothing down but my collar. Okay? That's where I'm at.
I'm a bit choosier.
Yeah, well.
And the thing is, when you've just lived in Austin almost your entire life, it's not hard. Like, you can just saddle back up and go back at it again tomorrow night. I'm okay. Okay.
So you've just never done it and just to do it.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but there's always a little extra to it than that.
Wow. Okay, so Buck Wild, our favorite trucker, said, I knew a girl that I had a huge crush on, and that was a massive Cowboys fan, spent over $2,000 on 2 tickets.
Buck.
Asked her, got turned down.
You spent the money on the tickets before you asked her?
Yeah.
Buck, you got that in back. You did that backwards. That's not her fault. That's not her fault. It's not her fault. Simple as that. And Buck, I say that as a guy, I've done some stupid things in my life as well. The good news there is you did have the tickets. So as long as whatever the event wasn't in 24 hours or less,
wow,
you should have had time to work that out.
You know what it's like to me, Catch? It reminds me of not into Buck Wild's thing. When I see people who propose marriage and get turned down, I'm always like, how? Like, did you not have you have a conversation? I've been married a bunch of times. There's usually a conversation that leads up to and everyone knows it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Like whenever you decide you're going to pull the trigger, that's the part of the surprise. And I always get surprised when a guy gets turned down for the engagement because I'm like, well, you didn't have the conversation. And so that the $2,000 that you spent, you didn't have the conversation.
I never find myself feeling sorry for those guys.
You don't?
I always feel sorry for the woman who's been put in the position of having to tell some dude no.
Especially
again, you need to be shooting from the layup line on proposals.
Yes.
If it feels like you're shooting a 3-point shot from the corner, hold out a little longer until you get to the layup line. There should never be the woman shouldn't have to think about, or the guy, they should never have to think about it. You guys should be far enough along that that's the next step. Yeah, man. I never feel bad for the guy that gets turned down. I feel awful for the woman who's been put in the situation where everybody's going to call her a bitch. Yeah. Oh, did you see that could have been like, you don't know anything involved in that situation other than, you know, she's been put into a position that's uncomfortable.
Darwin said,
I always side with the woman on that.
Darwin said he's never been turned down on a proposal, but he wished he had.
Hey, you know what? That probably goes both ways. Just in general in life, proposals for anything. Look, here's my thing on a first date, and this is what, especially when you live in a city like Austin.
Yes,
it's an opportunity to be creative, to do something local, to do something that person maybe has never done before. There's so many great restaurants. There's so many things to do that it's such an opportunity to be creative. I always felt like when I was in a first date opportunity, it was a chance to show off a little bit. Like you get to know a little bit about the person and how creative and how different of an experience they try to create with the date, right? It's I want to take you out and have a date that you've never had before.
Yes.
And if you do that, you're going to get some consideration for all of the thought and care and consideration that went in. Don't ever go take a woman to a restaurant on a first date. Just catch them rules. Don't ever take a woman to a restaurant that she can eat in another city. Don't go to Outback. Don't go to a place that's completely a unique experience. And generally, I find that to be really appreciated.
Do you feel like a restaurant is necessary on a first date?
Well, no, because I've told you, it always just depends on, there's so many dynamics involved. I mean, it's possible that a first date can be with somebody that you've known for a long time. And in that case, everything's a little bit different. You know each other at that point on levels that you probably could cook for her if you wanted to. I've had women cook for me on first dates before. Everything, you know, dating is like it's a snowflake. Every situation is unique upon itself. You know, it just depends. If you're one of these guys that like rides bicycles all over town and you meet another woman who's a bike rider and she wants to go do something bike riding related, like, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. It really comes down. The thing is, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy in thought. Show her always that you gave more than 5 minutes of thought into what you guys are going to be doing. And, you know, I've always felt like a woman, if you're going to take her out on a date, she deserves to know and think that, like, you think enough of her that you didn't just sleepwalk to. And the other thing is, you got to be really careful not to fall into a trap where it feels like this is what you do with all of the girls.
Yeah.
If a girl senses you've done this before
with
women at this same exact place, you know, if you take her to a place, and you got to be careful. If you take her to a place and the waiter comes up and knows you by name, you can fall into a situation where it feels like suddenly you're playing on your territory. And I sometimes find some women are attracted by like a man that everybody knows who he is. He's like Norm and Cheers. It's like, oh, everybody knows who this guy is. That's kind of attractive. But on the flip side of that, it can feel very premeditated. It can feel very, I'm not the first person who sat with you at this table, had this meal, heard these lines. You got to be careful to not fall into too comfortable of a playbook. A first date should be exciting. It should be unique in its own way. It shouldn't feel like something you did last week with some other girl.
So what I've done, Catch, in those instances is that the waiter, I usually tip them well, and then I will tell them, hey, probably going to be in next week, I got some plans. It'll be the first time that you met me. All right, we cool. And then they're good. They're good. And then like your first time, they're like, yes. And then, but the waiter's already in it because I was there last week. I already tipped them well, you know. And then there's the other thing. You know, one of my creative ones, Mount Bonnell, picnic basket, little speakers, wine. Maybe like your picnic basket, charcuterie board, something like that. Put a blanket out there off the water.
Can I give you a Mount Bonnell warning though? So
my car's gonna get broken into down below.
Look, I mean, yeah, but because I took my wife Heather to Mount Bonnell as part of the experience of our first date. I flew her in from Houston.
Yeah. So
our first date was I flew her in from Houston. Because back in the day I rolled like that.
You was Big Daddy back then.
Hey, I'm telling you, owning orange bloods and in the zeros and the aughts.
Tell them what kind of car you was driving back then, Ketch.
Oh, that was back in the day. They didn't have a lot of push button start engines. It was a novelty back in the day. I had the SL 500, brand new convertible. People will be. It was helpful on a lot.
Is that when you had the boat too, or no?
Had a boat,
yeah.
But I took my wife to Mount Bonnell, and she'd had a few bevies at dinner before we went. I mean, make sure she's not around it. She may or may not have fell a couple of times on the way down because that's a steep climb.
It is.
So if you've had some beverages, I would just say, you know, ultimately, like, you don't want to. My wife got banged up on our first date. She got banged up because I took her to Mount Bonnell, and then she may have tripped a couple of times on the way down and skinned up some knees and got some bruises on the leg. And it just didn't seem like a good idea once she fell a couple of times. Just FYI.
Yes, I can tell. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Typically, I would have bought the wine there. I know ATX Big Rich said too many people about, but now I'm not talking about like on a weekend. Like I'm talking about like a midweek kind of thing, you know, an afternoonish, something to that effect, and been pretty good. I like it. Catch, you've been Catch had game. You had game, right? Catch, you would safe to say.
Yeah, man, I was a few pounds lighter. I was in great shape. Austin was a vibrant city. I had means, self-created means.
I mean, you're flying in a woman from Houston. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I met my wife on the Friday before the Big 12 championship game, and I flew her to Austin the next Friday.
I mean, she spent more time in the airport waiting than she would have spent driving. But that's how much of a man you were. You were like, listen, you're not even driving from Houston here. I'm flying you in.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, like when she got, you know, we did the whole back, you know, she's coming down the escalator and I'm waiting for her, all Mac Daddy like. I had my Mac Daddy Eddie Murphy from Boomerang vibe going on.
You put her up in the hotel?
What's that?
You put her up in a hotel?
Hotel Ketchum.
Okay, go ahead.
And the thing is, we had like talked on the phone all week long. Like that's kind of how it all happened. Like we met and then we were talking on the phone, and I didn't tell her anything about the car that I drove.
Yeah.
Before she got into the car.
Mm-hmm.
So the car was freshly detailed.
Mm-hmm.
It was brand new. And so she was a little like, oh my God, you didn't tell me you drove this. Mm-hmm. And then, back in the day, I was like, hey, do you want to start the car? And they'd be like, what do you mean? Because again, the whole push button start engine thing was brand new.
Yeah.
They'd push that button and that Mercedes, whoom, and panties were dropping immediately.
In other words,
it's true. I don't like to, I'd like to say I'm above bragging about it. I didn't buy the car for that reason, but man, I was once at a club in Austin, and I was having dinner with a guy, and it was like me and him and like five women at this. I think we might have been at Eddie V's. We were, as a matter of fact. And this guy was into this girl. And somewhere along the line in dinner, this guy goes, "Hey, he's got your favorite car." And she's like, "Yeah, drive an SL500." And at the end of the night, when it was time to take her home, I let her do the push button thing. And I felt so bad.
Did you?
Because I had to tell that dude that he'd been courting for I don't know how long, that like didn't take long.
To the victor goes the spoils, man. Like, look, there's a difference between the person who's in VIP and he's got a bunch of attractive women around him, and the person who's standing by the
my
bar.
wife is sleeping right now and not overhearing any of this, because I probably would get in trouble. I don't think she'd like for me to admit that she stayed at Hotel Ketchum. I don't think she'd appreciate the whole falling down at Mount Bunnell. And then the thing is, you got to be careful, because I thought because she was from Houston, she wouldn't have even known about Mount Bunnell. And then as it turned out, I was not the first dude that took her to Mount Bunnell. Yeah. And then you become a bit of a cliche. Now she's still with me, and we got married and we got kids. But at the time, I thought I was doing like I'm showing you something that you've never seen before. And I was actually the second guy that had taken her to Mount Bunnell. So you do have to be a little careful. The Mount Bunnell experience works once on a woman. The second time some dude is trying to take her to Mount Bunnell, she's thinking to herself, wait a minute. I remember the first time I got taken to Mount Bunnell, and I remember how that affected me, and I remember how the rest of the way the evening went. This guy might just be trying to get into my britches. And, well, guilty as charged. But, you don't want to be a cliche. So you do have to be careful. I have always found, you know what the secret spot in Austin is?
What's that?
Laguna Gloria. Which is, if you're going down Mopac and you take like the 35th Street exit, you just go west on 35th until it ends at Laguna Gloria. But it's beautiful. It's quiet. Lots of gardens. Lots of trails to walk on. There's my wife right now. I don't know where it is. I don't. In the car? Maybe. Now I got to be careful about what I talk about.
Yeah, no. She's gonna go hit your mind.
But Laguna Gloria, trust me, fellas, especially for like an afternoon date. In the evening, if you're willing to break the law and trespass, you can take a date there too. But like at 9 o'clock, you're trespassing. But it's not like I don't remember, at least 20 years ago, they didn't lock the gates or anything. So you can just walk down there and walk the trails at night. It's really pretty, right on Lake Austin. Laguna Gloria, check it out.
Okay,
it's like an art school. Like there's a lot of it's a cool place.
All right, so last I'll let you go, Catch, on our thing of love. All right, so let's end it on a happy note. It's all been happy, by the way. So then she's living out in Houston. You fly her in for the weekend. She's impressed. All right, how does this thing go before we eventually merge households? You propose, like all that kind of stuff. Give us kind of a little bit of the story here.
Oh, we were probably just like having a fling for months, because it was hard to be a real serious relationship when she was in Houston and she was like dating another guy too. And I was dating other women. So we dated each other, but we weren't really serious. And then I think there got to be a point where I thought we were going to break up. As a matter of fact, I can remember at my old house, my cousin was in the hot tub because he lived with me at the time. So he just happened to be in the hot tub and I walked outside and I can remember saying, you know what? I think I'm going to break this thing off with Heather. It's not working. And like 3 days later, I was like, that was a bad idea. That was a bad idea. I was wrong. I not only want her to be in my life, but I want more. So I drove down to Houston and told her.
Wow.
Spur of the moment, I showed up at her workplace and was like, hey, 5 minutes. And I let her know that, like, I want this thing to be serious. And eventually she agreed to move to Austin, which is one of the reasons why I'm in Houston right now, or the Woodlands, because our relationship wouldn't have made it if she hadn't bit the bullet and moved to Austin to be in a relationship with me. And I told her at the time, like, I know you're from Houston. I know all your family's there. If there's ever an opportunity where I can repay that and invest in you like you invested in us, I would do so. After the pandemic was over and she really didn't see any family for like a year, I was like, all right, I can do my job in the Houston area. But like I told you 18 years ago that I would eventually do the exact same kind of decision for you that you did for me and us. And so that literally is how I'm in the Woodlands right now, is that Heather moved down to Austin to make us work. She just said, I did. And eventually I made good on my promise to move.
God did it. God did it.
She's giving God the credit. I am not doing that. I'm taking credit.
No, God would never have you move right around the corner from all my family. He had a part in that.
Again, there's a split consensus on who deserves credit for, and we may be fighting later today because I'm not going to budge off of Mount Ketchum in saying that, you know, I get some credit. Like, give me some credit. Let me give me some cool points. You know, I was cool when she met me. Now I'm a dad and dropping kids off at school. Like, let me have something.
You gotta have a little something. I mean, now you drive an Expedition, a family car, right? I mean, like you're family.
Heather, you don't have to come on, but admit it. When I picked you up at the airport.
Oh my God, he was a pimp, man. He was I don't even know. He blew me off my feet.
The car
was ridiculous. It was like, what the hell is this guy? What? Yeah, I love. Oh man, that car. Woo! And the house, and the boat, and everything. And he was just the whole package, man. He still is. He still is.
Ooh, look at you, Catch. Go get some right now. You got. Go get some right now, Catch.
You gotta go take Hendrix's glasses. So bad timing for me.
Go get. She sounds like she ready. Catch. Go get some.
All right. Well, I'm. That was my hour, right?
That's the hour, buddy. We didn't talk anything. I'll talk my 5 keys to victory now.
I'm Ryan Wingo'd out, so
yeah.
I thought we were gonna do some more Wingo stuff. So
no, I didn't expect it to go this far, but I'm glad it did. So, fellas, now you know. Catch tells you no chain restaurants for these dates.
No restaurants where she can go to that same restaurant in another city. And I know that eliminates, you know, like I had dinner earlier this week at like Perry's Steakhouse, you know?
The comments are killing me.
I'm not even in the chat. I haven't had the chat up the whole time.
It said, get out of here, Catch. Cotton says, Catch about to go deep. See Clear says, do your thing, Catch, right now. I'm not going to read the rest.
William is like, give glory to God. God loves you and bless you with an awesome. I did that. I'm a self-made man. Come on, man. I refuse. You guys.
Catch, go get some. Your wife is ready. Go get some.
She's already out the door.
Damn.
I think that's why she said all that stuff that she did, because she knew I'm leaving and I ain't got to put out as soon as it catches off the air.
She's going to be back in 30 minutes, ain't she?
Maybe.
Hey, I'm just saying. Call her up and continue the conversation, Catch.
No.
Catch is gonna show up for the noon show, kind of like, oh man, what's going on?
I was already gonna show up like that. I told you I wanted to go lay back down and sneak in like 2 more hours of sleep.
Okay.
Wow, the chat.
It's going crazy.
I'm so disappointed that I didn't pull the chat open an hour ago.
Oh, it's going. It's going.
Hey, it's gonna be funny when like there just is no house divided today. Chad, take Friday off. Hey, Cotton, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'll always need Rogue later. I'll always need Rogue later. By the way, that was something that my wife and I had in common as well.
Said what? What did you say?
I said Rogue. I said that was something that the wife and I had in common as well.
Well, that helps. That helps. You know,
it does help. By the way, hey, if you find a one, this fellas, if you're taking notes, you youngins out there, if you know that a woman smokes, if you've got good weed, it's like it's as good as having a good car. Women love good weed.
What?
They hate a guy that shows up with like trash, crumbs, seeds
all in. Got to pick all the seeds out.
Yeah. Show them that you know where to get the good pot in Austin. And if you don't have good pot, you need to work on that.
Gotta step your game up.
Just trust me. A lot of women out there smoke these days. It's in, but you got to have good pot.
You know, that wasn't
on the list. Rogue shop helps.
Yeah. By the way, that was not on the list of things that they couldn't do. So apparently, of the 26 things that they named, smoking pot on the first date must be acceptable.
They had a hookah bar listed on the list, and I kind of agree with that. Mainly, although I went with Richard from the Rogue Shop recently to a really nice hookah bar in downtown Houston. There were good-looking women everywhere. Usually when I think of hookah places, I think of a bunch of dudes, like one woman and like 15 dudes inside the place, and like the dudes are all smoking, and it's not necessarily in Houston anyway. The last hookah place I went to, these women were having a good time. Really? You know what? There was a lot of women of color too, Anwar. It was like a buffet of like different nationalities and cultures. Don't hate on the hookah place. I wouldn't normally do the hookah thing, but I did it a couple of weeks ago to Richard from Rogue, and I was amazed at A, the quality of the food, because we ended up having dinner there, but B, the women seemed to like it.
I did hookah once. I didn't love it. So, but if someone wants to go, I'll totally do it, right? So, I mean, she wants to go. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? But did love it. So wait, so all you dudes just had a hookah with you? I mean, you guys
the restaurant had the hookah, and you just ordered what smoke you wanted. But then we had steak and some other stuff. It was good. I can't remember the name of it. I showed up wanting to show off to Richard, like, hey, I'm going to take you guys out to a nice steak dinner. If they wanted barbecue, I was going to take them to Pinkerton's. I was ready to take them out, and instead we just stayed by their crib and went to a hookah bar and hung out for a few hours.
Okay.
And it was interesting. Richard, if you're in the chat, that was an interesting mandate that you took me on.
Richard has been in here because I have been telling people about the salve that I've been using on my broken pinky toe. So he was giving some people telling them about it because people were asking some questions about it. So, oh, by the way, C Clear says, I just want to meet the woman who has been with Ketch for 2 decades.
She ain't here.
You wait? Does want to see if she has some friends? I don't know. What was
I took that innocently. I didn't take it like he's trying to hit on your wife or anything like that. I didn't either. But
no. I just said I didn't know why he wanted to meet her. Just out of curiosity or ask her questions, or usually a little bit more to that, right?
Mike Torres brings no strip clubs on a first date, right? I mean, if you go into the strip club, it's go time, right? Like,
if she says she wants to go to the strip club, you go to the strip club. That's not what you suggest.
would you marry a woman that wanted to go to a strip club on night one?
Ooh, night
Does that
one?
break a rule of any kind? I wouldn't necessarily have every situation's different, right? Like, I'm not judging, but
I don't think it would bother me. I kind of, to me, you know, every relationship is unique to
what if
itself.
it's a trashy strip club?
Like that La Pleasures place off of 35 or whatever that thing is.
Oh man, there used to be a place on. I've told the story before, but Sukumel and I went to strip club on the lower level of I-35, like 35 and between 45th and like Dean Keaton. That little strip. There's like a little sex store over there as well.
Yeah,
Been there once. There was I guess you have to say a short person in 2023 with one of the most spectacular pairs of breasts that I've ever seen. But it was a guy.
What?
It was a guy, short person. And he was wearing a tutu. And he was like just going around the club. And it's kind of club that you get the sense like people just cash their work checks at the bar. It's blue collar place. And I would never remember. I was with Sukumel. And Sukumel, I'm not a drinker. Sukumel's a drinker. Sukumel was having a good time. He didn't have his awareness. And so, you know, I caught the eye of the short man with the spectacular boobies. And I was wearing the tutu. He was going around with like a water jug, and people were like tipping him just for being in a tutu and being topless. And you know, like I like to keep my cool. So I had seen what was happening in advance and was keeping it under wraps. Sukumel's got no chill in him. And by the way, Sukumel back in the day, quite the ladies' man. But he turns around and goes, "Look, it's a dude with tits." And there's no way to really like come back from that.
Wow. Did he tip her? Him?
The little guy just like smiled and like did like a bewitched. He like shook himself. And then he walked off. It wasn't insulted or anything. And no, I don't believe he got any money from us. That was back when Austin really was weird, though.
You think? That is pretty
We
weird.
left that night, and it didn't feel like we'd seen anything that crazy.
Patrick Martinez says, "I would rather have you talk about soccer." You know, it's bad. Someone else said earlier, I thought I was tired of the Wingo talking to him. So, I was going to
Hey, you guys need stories of what Austin used to be like before the Californians took over. That's it. All right,
Catch.
I feel like I've derailed your show.
I don't know how I'm supposed to go to 5 keys to victory at this moment.
I mean, you just do it. You just jump right into it, and you ignore the fact. Next time you have Sukumel on your show, though, ask him about that.
All right. I'm going to stay one more off the rails, okay? One more. Aaron, the one about the woman who's asked the question about what to do if you sit next to her. I got one more. So you know, I do my social media standouts, okay? So I gave you one of my social media standouts already. Aaron's going to put up the second one of the social media standouts. Aaron, let me know when you put it up because I can't see anything on here.
It's on there.
Okay. There's a question that's being asked, Catch. So there you go. What do you do?
I'm on a flight?
And she's sitting next to you. That's what she's saying. That's the question that she's asking. On a flight, she's sitting next to you, and she wants to know, what do you do?
I mean, I probably mind my own business for the majority of the flight. And if any small talk picks up, like I'm not going out of my way to talk to her. She's expecting that. Like What could I say for a woman dressed like that? What's some rando on a plane gonna say to her? She's expecting you almost need her to like start talking to you about something.
Mm-hmm.
If you just go, no pun intended, diving in, you know, she's gonna spot that coming from a mile away. So I would tell you to play it cool, and at some point, something will happen that's worthy of like a comment. Because the thing is about women on airplanes, if you make like if something happens on the plane or something, and you make a little sly comment, they'll let you know whether or not they want to have a talk with you or not.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't just assume that she wants to have a talk with you. Because, you know, that woman's freaking fine. She knows what she's doing. So careful, you might end up in a bathtub with your organs missing. If you mess around. That's so obvious. That's such a plant.
Yeah.
I was once on an airplane coming back from LA with a bunch of women that were dressed like that.
Uh-huh.
They were all porn stars who were going to Austin to party on New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
I'm not suggesting that she was a porn star. I'm just saying I once was on a flight where there were a dozen women dressed as provocatively as that. And
do you ask her if she likes the Cheesecake Factory?
No, man, it's gotta be so much more low key. And eventually you get to some Cheesecake Factory discussion if you get that far along in the conversation. But if you make a comment like, hey, from Austin, like whatever your little introductory, just if you'll know immediately whether or not she literally wants to talk to you or not. So what do? Don't make an ass out of yourself. But if you're on a flight, you got a few hours, let a little bit of time go by, and then gradually drop a little piece of conversation and see if she nibbles on it. If she doesn't, leave her alone. Don't do anything. What are the other responses to that? What are the options of things that can be done if you're sitting next to her on an airplane? You're not going to commit any crimes. You can't just stare at her the whole time.
No.
There's only really one move. And that's at some point during the flight, just make a comment that's conversational. If she jumps on it, then you have a conversation. But like, I don't know what the options are.
There really aren't a lot. There really aren't. There's no good option that you start on your own, unless you, like you said, it's a conversation starter, something to that effect.
Don't most people on planes just want to mind their business and get from point A to point B? Like, that's the thing that men mistake. Yeah. Like, she just wants to get to wherever she's going. She ain't trying to meet you. So, like, mind your own, you know what? Just mind your own business. How about that? Let that woman, no matter how she's dressed, no matter how big her boobs are, because, right, that's what we were supposed to notice.
Yes.
What are we going to do when we're sitting next to you and you're popping out of your clothes? Nothing. We're going to mind our own business. We're going to occasionally sneak peeks, but don't stare. Just be a normal human being who minds her own business. That's what you do.
Catch, I tell you, when I go on a plane, I'll tell you what I normally have. I normally have a hoodie on like this, and I sit down, I have my headphones in, and I don't want to be bothered with anybody. I don't want to have conversation.
For real.
I don't want to talk. I hate when people start talking to me because now I feel like now I have this pressure that I'm supposed to talk to you for the entire flight, which is not what I'm here for. I've downloaded some things on Netflix. I got some music to listen to, books on film, whatever it is, books on tape. And I literally put my stuff. Sometimes I put sunglasses on and I just lean to the side.
You kind of look like the Unabomber, but different.
I do. It does get intimidating. I will tell you this. When I do this and my sunglasses on Southwest open seating, usually I'm one of the last people that people sit next to.
I'd sit next to you.
Well, thank you. Well, you're very, you're very enlightened. But I can tell you that everybody just keeps going back, and I just sit there like this. And
you
then
know what I would do?
What's
I
that?
would sit next to you, and where do you like to sit on a plane? On the aisle or next to the window?
Window.
I'd grab the aisle seat,
Uh-huh.
and then it'd be like, oh man, I don't want to sit next to both the black guy who looks like the Unabomber or the white guy who's overweight, and I don't want to be all cramped up on the plane. So you and I can sit next to each other, open seat between us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, first, I'm scaring off the majority of the flight anyway, right? So we probably would have an open seat. But you know
But if
what?
there were like terrorists on our plane, I feel like I'd be safe next to you because like they know you're gonna mind your own business until the plane lands.
Yeah, like I'm not, 100%. We'd be okay. We'd be okay. You know what inevitably happens? Like once every certain amount of flights, some like little older like white woman will sit next to me, and she'll just strike up a conversation, and it'll be so nice. And she'll show me pictures of her kids, and so I go from like, oh, so how many kids do you have? Like I have 2 kids too. Like, oh my God, let me show you the pictures of mine.
Down.
Yeah, she does. She does. But initially, I don't want to be bothered.
In general, guys, leave women alone on planes. Like in general, like if it's a rare situation, don't be shoot your shot guy on every plane trip. If organically you meet somebody on a plane, like cool, but don't be guy who's taking his wedding ring off and putting it in his pocket.
What about flight attendants? Can you shoot your shot at flight attendants? They probably get like hit on the attractive ones all the time.
My experience with flight attendants is they handle their own business.
Yeah.
I've had flight attendants flirt with me, and I've seen flight attendants flirt with other guys, and I've never seen anyone they seek out who they seek out if they want to seek out.
Yeah.
And flight attendants, man, I've known a few over the years. They got people stashed everywhere.
They do.
It's like, I'm in Denver. They know exactly who they're calling.
Correct.
They don't need you.
Oh, yeah. And that call usually comes at like 10 o'clock at night. They don't ever give you like a bunch of advance warning. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm going to have a layover here and I'm flying out in the morning. What are you doing?
El Presidente is waiting. You guys need to talk football.
El
Presidente is waiting. We're sitting here talking about chicks. By the way, Aaron, put that picture back up one more time. The girl on the plane. She seems nice. She seems nice. She has a nice face. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Bye, Catch. See that dude. House divided. That's Catch. All right, let me do this. Let's do a quick break. We're going to bring back El Presidente with his picks. We will be right back as we try to focus and regroup.
Let's get to this super chat question because it's so generous of Agent Z, $5 super chat. We love that. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Morning, guys. Of the remaining games, which one is the least challenging and which one is the most? Let's start with you, Aaron.
Least challenging. I probably feel the best about Texas Tech at this point. They're on their third quarterback. They're kind of a mess. That game's at home. That's the last game. So, that's the best chance that we're going to have Quinn back at that point. So I would definitely say Tech for the least challenging. Most challenging, I think you got to say Kansas State right now. I know that's a home game, but the beatdown that they just put on TCU, I just don't think I can say TCU would be more difficult than Kansas State, especially since Kansas State is next week, probably going to have Maalik for that one. So that's going to be a test because Kansas State, they've switched up their quarterback situation. They've got a little bit more juice there all of a sudden. So the defense is going to have to play well in that Kansas State game or else Texas is going to have its handful, even though the game's a DKR.
Yeah, those are the two I was just going to go with too. I think Texas Tech they're a beat up bad team right now.
Yeah,
frankly. And I mean, it's a little, it's a little tricky being the final game of the season, but I don't think so. I'm not worried about Tech in the least. And Kansas State, especially now that they've figured out Avery Johnson, Will Howard combo. Because look, I came into this saying season saying I thought Will Howard was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. He struggled. He has not lived up to that billing at all. So I really thought it was going to be that, but Avery Johnson has come in and become the running quarterback and has given that team life. They've since his insertion into the lineup, they're looking very strong. They're looking like the team I expected them to be because I predicted K-State to be in the Big 12 championship game against Texas.
All right, it's that time of week again. It is time to bring in El Presidente with El Presidente's Picks. How are you doing, El Jefe?
Hey, my man, I am here. I'm alive. I've been traveling this week. I got off a plane yesterday. Took it all the way to Oklahoma last night. Watched my daughter. She had a rough night in the volleyball world last night. So got back, as you can see, when I sent over my picks last night. That's when I was getting in. I didn't get back in until about 1:30 last night from Oklahoma. But you know what? Hey, living. It's all LIVIN, baby. I'm living. So I'm glad to be here. It's another week. Let's go get it.
All right. Are you at your house right now?
I am at my house today. I had to relocate to the war room today. The dogs are going nuts on the other side of the house because the lawn guys are here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it, El Presidente. Let's look at how you did last week and where your picks were. Aaron's going to put that on the screen for me. Aaron, I can't see it. So I don't know what he did.
Yeah, 3-2 last week, Anwar. 3-2, 17, 18, and 1. We're almost there, back to 500 for this.
Nice.
Yeah, we're almost there. Like I said, I keep on tooting my horn. If ESPN would give me a call, I would make sure I would do Stanford Steve's job for a quarter of what that guy is doing.
Don't stop believing. All right. Give me, Aaron, you may need to type this out for me because I'm not quite sure I'm going to know what the first game is. I do see it on the screen for some odd reason. I see this. I got Tennessee versus Kentucky, -3.5, the over-under of 51.5. Presidente, what are you thinking?
Well, you know what? Coming back into this game, both teams are 5-2. Tennessee started hot at Alabama last week, and they were completely shut out in the second half, and Alabama made a great run in the second half. Kentucky is coming off the bye week this week. They're 5-2 as well. Didn't play very well in their last game out. I thought they'd play better against Georgia, and they didn't. But, I go back to that Florida game that we picked a couple of weeks ago. This is a major rivalry between those two schools. I think a little bit more sided for Kentucky than it is Tennessee. But, for Kentucky at home, getting points. We know Kentucky plays pretty good defense under Stoops. Their offensive passing game and passing downfield is something they've got to really go work on, but they do run the ball. Give me Kentucky. I don't know if they'll win, but they're going to keep it close. Give me Kentucky as the home dog and to cover that 3.5. I don't know how well Tennessee is going to rebound after going to, playing a great first half at Alabama, and then the wheels came off the car in the second half, and Alabama just rolled them at home. It's funny if you saw Josh Heupel's conference, after the game, the reporters were asking him questions and he wouldn't answer them. I think he was in a little shock too. And I like Kentucky in this spot, and catching a Tennessee team that might not be over the week prior game.
All right, so there you go. You're going to take Kentucky as it is. Let's do game number 2. I've got Cincinnati at a +7.5 versus Oklahoma State. I got an over-under of 53. What's tantalizing about this for you? Oklahoma State may or may not be back. I don't know. Cincinnati doesn't seem to be good. What do you think?
Cincinnati's on a 5-game losing streak, and Oklahoma State, after that loss to South Alabama at home, they have turned it on Anwar, and they are playing really good football. So I like Oklahoma State on homecoming up there in Stillwater. Give me the Pokes at home versus Oklahoma State. Hey, they went up to West Virginia last week, won on the road last week. I think they are doing well and they're trending in the right direction. For Oklahoma State, running the ball has always been one of Gundy's staples, and they are running the ball well right now and playing with a little play action and things like that. So for me, I think this is an easy spot. And Cincinnati's just not very good right now. They're just, a bottom dweller here in the Big 12.
All right, so you got Oklahoma State with there. I like that. So far, I don't think you're too crazy, El Presidente.
No,
So far, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it so far, El Presidente. Let's do our third game and see what El Presidente has got for us up the sleeve. Oh, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Houston plus 7.5. That's a game last week that totally torpedoed you unexpectedly, and all of us.
Yeah.
And K-State with the over-under 60. What are you thinking now?
That's the thing that we have to ask ourselves. Was that a fluke last week or not? Was Cougar High there or not? And I just can't buy stock in Cougar High at all. And so for me, give me K-State at home at a noon kickoff. We're not in Kansas anymore. Is going to be the theme out there because I just think the Houston team's going to get up there and just Kansas State is playing really, really good football. And as I'm looking a week ahead, Will Greer was struggling a little bit. They find this Richardson quarterback. Now they're playing two quarterbacks, and they beat the dog out of TCU last week at home. I mean, beat the dog. TCU held them to 3 points. Give me Kansas State at home to beat the dog out of Houston.
Love it, love it, love it. You're saying that was a fluke for them, and 100%. So I totally got that. So I got you on the K-State. Let's do another. We got two more left. So let's do one here. We got Colorado back on Dion versus UCLA. We got a 16.5 at Colorado. Your thoughts on Neon Dion? Where are you thinking?
I have been wrong picking against him and for him all year long. Yeah. But I saw this game and I thought to myself, okay, Colorado just got beat at home by a bad Stanford team. UCLA the following week beats the dog out of a bad Stanford team at Stanford. Now we're, Colorado coming off the bye, going to play UCLA. Dion's had 2 weeks to prepare for it. UCLA did bench their 5-star quarterback. But, Anwar, if I told you Chip Kelly's football team is top 10, would you think it's in NCAA, would you think it's offense or defense?
I probably have to guess what offense, right?
Yes. Well, they are top 10 in defense in the NCAA right now. And they are playing really good defensive football. Now, you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. It is Pac-10 football out there, or Pac-12, whatever they call it, or defunct 12. But, in this spot, I don't know. I'm going to probably be kicking myself, but I like UCLA at home with that top 10 defense to shut out Colorado this week. I might be wrong, and I'm okay with it, but I've got a good feeling of how Chip Kelly and his team's playing. They're running the ball well. They've gone to a second-team quarterback that, he just kept within the system. And I like UCLA at home on this spot. I know the Buffaloes might get a cheap score at the end, but they've kind of struggled on the road a little bit this year. So give me UCLA at home to beat up Dion.
I like it. I'm actually not opposed. I'm actually not opposed to that. You're right about that. And we've seen Colorado get exposed at times. We know that this, they don't have an offensive line at all that can protect that quarterback for 4 quarters. So I think that actually might end up being a really smart pick. I like that one, Presidente. You got me sold, hook, like, and right now. I'm 4-4 with you right now. And we'll see what Money B says at the end.
Yeah.
But number 5, go ahead and give us Texas versus BYU. BYU is giving up 17.5 and over under 50 points with a new quarterback that's in here. A defense that's been struggling recently, but also a new quarterback that's in there. BYU is not that good statistically on offense or defense. Where are you leaning?
Golly, after last week, I was, I didn't think, Texas would struggle as bad as it did. If we could have that first quarter and times that times 3, we would have played a complete game, because after that first quarter, Texas just started struggling at Cougar High. But, I might be in the minority, and I get that. But I am excited to see Maalik Murphy play, and I'm excited to see him sling it. And I think I did a super chat with you and Ketch earlier this week. If that TCU true freshman quarterback 2 weeks ago, he lit up BYU at home on his first start. Kid's barely out of high school. And Maalik's been with us now for 2 years. Is that right, Anwar?
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the system. He knows the system. Is he game ready? No, that's the one thing he doesn't have. So you know what? I'm gonna roll with Maalik, and you know what? I hope Maalik takes it and runs with it and doesn't give the job back. I know I'm in the minority there, but I love a good underdog story, and I hope he does. I hope he takes this job and runs back with it, where they don't have to worry about Urs, and when he does come back, because Maalik is doing so good. So I just don't think BYU is very good. I think Sark. This is a pride game for Sark too. He's going against his alma mater. And I think he wants to show his alma mater, hey, I'm doing pretty good out here as myself too. So give me the Horns minus the 17.5 at home. Haven't been at home a week. I did catch on to your tweet on that, where Steve Sarkisian did say that they're excited to be home. I think we do need a better defensive effort. Hopefully we're going to have that crossing route last game just killed us over and over and over. And hopefully my main man, PK, got a couple a week to get those items addressed. And you know what? Let's unleash Anthony Hill from the defensive end spot. If we're not getting any pass rush, let's let him loose and let him have a little fun. Either let him stand up in that 2-point position or let him put his hand down and go get it like he did against Alabama. Get back to that type of playing football where you're physical, you're fast, and you're playing hard. And those are some of the things that we, hopefully they did this week, getting back to fundamentals. As I was reading the War Room last night, and guys, if you're not on orangebloods.com, get into that War Room. Hey, Thursdays and Sundays, if you want to read and you want to read about football, those are the best days to read about football. So I like it. See what you think about those picks on more this week, and let me know.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, let's see. What Money B is always going to be the determining factor.
Yeah.
Because you're on your own this week, Unc. I'm staying away from the Kentucky and UT spread. What I liked, and someone had said in the chat that he was too broke to pay attention. Like, I like the over on the Texas BYU at the 50 points. That to me is intriguing a little bit, but I also know BYU has a bad offense, so there's some risk that's involved in that one. But Money B, yeah. All right, Money B, no help. Usually he tells me one way or another. He says he's on his own, but he does have the two things over there. So all right, not bad. I'm down with 4 of the 5. The only thing I'm unsure of is if they cover against BYU, but gotta stay on your porch, and I love your optimism, El Presidente.
Wait, I got a bonus pick for everybody, and it's tonight. Okay, I do have a bonus pick for you tonight, and it is not college football. But if you haven't jumped on those Texas Rangers, jump on those Texas Rangers minus 150 at home tonight, because they are hot, baby. You don't hit their best player on the team and think, you know what, you're going to get away with it. So for all you Houston Astro fans out there in the chat, enjoy basketball season. I'm sure the Houston Rockets are going to be great this year.
See that it sounds personal. It sounds personal. It's not that doesn't really sound like really sound advice. It sounds like an emotional advice. I heard no analysis,
none,
or did anything deep other than that. I just heard I want my team to win. That's all I heard.
I want my team to win. B, I want the Nelson Cruz curse to end, where he had the World Series locked up and he let the ball fly right over his head in Game 6. I want the curse done. We're playing hot. We beat the evil empire of the Houston Astros. And we retired them. They are not going to be the greatest empire ever anymore because the Texas Rangers retired them. And yes, this is personal. I hate the Houston Astros. I hate Altuve. I hate all of them. It's a lot of hate in my heart today, but I'm okay with that because we're going to win the World Series next time here in 2 weeks.
Okay, hold on. Before we go, let's just bring Aaron, our producer, real quick. Let me just bring in Aaron. Aaron, I cannot let this opportunity pass. There you go.
My God.
There you go.
Hey, Anwar, every family has one of them in their family. You know what I mean? Every family has a black sheep. And guess what? There's ours.
He's a Diamondback.
What, for being a Diamondbacks fan? For being I can't be a Diamondbacks fan?
This is let the Texas Rangers have one. We've waited forever. It was funny. I was with a friend this week, and he told me, he goes, you know what? My dad would have loved this if he was still here. If the Rangers get close to winning, I'm going to go take a radio for whatever game it is and go listen to the radio next to his grave. And I thought about that. And I was like, oh man, I'm about to choke up. You know what I'm saying? For him, and he's my buddy of mine, he's a huge Ranger fan, and him bringing back those memories of him and his dad taking him to the old ballpark here in Arlington. We've had 3. I hope it for him. I hope it for me as a Ranger fan. A crazy thing, I couldn't tell you one player on Arizona's team right now. I couldn't, but you know what?
This is why you don't take his betting advice on baseball, people. This is why I'm trying to tell you. This is not sound. This is all emotions. I've heard no analytics. I've heard no stats.
None.
I've heard nothing other than I want this team to win.
Yep.
I am telling you, do not bet like that. I'm just telling you.
I am betting with my heart right here. Sometimes it happens, and this is one of the time, bet today on the Rangers, bet tomorrow on the Rangers. But when they go back to Arizona, do not bet on the Rangers because that team is a pretty good home team. And you know what, Aaron, as I have peeked and watched Major League Baseball, they've been on a pretty dadgum good run themselves. And to beat Philadelphia the way they did, oh, man, there's nothing better than to see a crying Philadelphia sports fan like there was all over Instagram and Twitter and TikTok this week. There was nothing better than that.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot about the Rangers are red hot going to the World Series, but the thing, El Presidente, is the thing about the World Series is both teams are hot because that's how they both make it to the World Series. So I just feel like the Diamondbacks being discounted.
They are, and you know what? How often is it, Aaron, that both wild cards make it? You know what I'm saying? As Arizona and Texas did. I mean, they went on a remarkable run, Texas losing the West to Houston, Arizona losing the West to the Dodgers, and the road that they took to get to the World Series. I mean, that's going to end for Texas in a movie type theater. They're going to make movies about this, Aaron.
We'll see. Good luck to you.
All right, enough baseball talk. Thank you, El Presidente. I will see you next week, buddy. Be safe. Be
all right,
safe.
Guys. Talk to y'all soon.
All right. Let's put this train back on the tracks here. We are talking football or boobs. We're not gonna. That's enough baseball for today. You guys are crazy. All right, let's do this. I am gonna kind of go through this a little fast, but I got my 5 keys to the victory that I want to make sure I get into today before we get out of here. So no need for a break. Let me just going to make sure I get to this thing here. All right. So as I think about my 5 keys for victory, 5 keys for 5 ways for Texas to pull out a win against a BYU this weekend. Number 1 for me is don't make Maalik Murphy do too much. We're back to football, folks. And we're recentered. Look, he's a young quarterback. Steve Sarkisian has kind of talked about figuring out, hey, what does he do best? That's the big key for Steve Sarkisian has been this week, figuring out what Maalik Murphy does best and making sure they implement that into the game plan, right? And so we've seen that as far as what they've done in practice. I was told through some of my reporting that they have simplified the playbook for Maalik Murphy. And so in order to accent and highlight what he does best, one of the things that Steve Sarkisian talked about that he didn't really want to have on a Saturday is that he didn't want it to be like, so he said Saturday was a test enough. It doesn't need to be a final exam for, the quarterback. And so he wants it to be an open book test, hoping that his quarterback plays great. So the main thing for me is don't ask him to do too much. Don't ask him to do too much. What does that mean also? Well, you got a running back, okay? You've got a running back in Jonathan Brooks. He's got 825 rushing yards. That's 7th in the nation. He's averaging 142.23 all-purpose yards a game. That's 6th in the nation. Clearly number 1 in the Big 12. You lean on your running backs. You lean on Jonathan Brooks. You lean on your C.J. Baxters. You lean on the comeback routes to the Xavier Worthies. You lean on Jatavian Sanders. Like, you don't ask him to have any kind of crazy out-of-body experience. You let the playmakers be playmakers, because that ends up being somewhat of an important thing to him as well. Number 2 for me, I just said it real simplistically, abracadabra, make the defense reappear. If you want to go ahead and win this game, don't let BYU get any steam. Don't let BYU get any kind of momentum. Don't give that team hope. Here in DKR, you go out there the same way they started against Houston. That's the same way they need to start against BYU. But you know what? This time they need to finish it. You get someone on up 21-0. You do what you need to do. Like, make that, but the defense can't falter the way that they faltered. I've looked it up, and again, they allowed 392 yards of offense against Houston, 486 yards of offense against Oklahoma. That's an average of 439 yards in the past 2 games. Unacceptable going forward. You're not going to win every single game that you want to win the rest of the year if you're giving up 440 yards of offense. It's just not going to happen. The math says that's too much yards that's being moved. There's going to be too many points. They're giving up an average of 29 points over the last 2 games. Nothing astronomical, but you don't want to tell yourself going to games that Maalik Murphy needs to score 35, 40 points a game. You need his offense to be some sort of juggernaut in order to pull off a victory. So abracadabra, Pete Kwiatkowski, it's up to you. You got to make this defense reappear. Number 3, this is super important. Take the points. Take the points. I don't want to hear anything about this whole, hey, this team is aggressive and they like the aggressiveness about all the things that we do. Take the points. You have a young quarterback. The last thing you need to do is put him in a situation where you have no points on the board. Don't put him in a situation where you could go up potentially 24-7. Then next thing you know, it's a tie ball game and you're asking him to go out and win it. Take the points. Get your field goal kicker out there. Take the points. Do what you got to do. And by the way, kind of along those lines, if you do decide that, I don't think I want to kick this field goal, then you know what? You've got Ryan Sanborn. He's averaging 45 yards a punt, okay? It's real simplistic. Against Houston, he was averaging 52.3. He had a 59-yarder. He leads the conference in punting. That's a weapon. Flip the field. Don't shorten the field for a BYU and make it easier for them to either take the points or you go ahead and you have Ryan Sanborn kick them to the other side of the field and make them go to the length of the field. But nonetheless, if you have the opportunity, take the points. Number 4 is really simplistic. But They got to find a way to create turnovers. Hasn't necessarily been a strength of this team. They were able to find a couple last week, but the interceptions, the fumbles rather, not really seeing that. They've got to find a way to cause some fumbles. They got to find a way to put the ball on the ground. They've got to create turnovers. Make it easier for your young quarterback. Be able to shorten the field for him. By doing that, have someone put the ball down at the 20, and then you only got to march 20 yards for a score. Or have them put them down at the 35. You only got to march 35 yards for the score. But that create turnovers. When I talk about abracadabra, make the defense reappear, a portion of that also is creating the turnovers. And the very last thing that I have to say is you got to find a way to cut down on the penalties. Against Houston last week, this team was penalized 6 times for 60 yards. Against Oklahoma, it was 9 times, right? 9 times for 70 yards. So the penalties have got to cut down. That's right around that 7 kind of penalty-ish march, 60-something yards or so, just kind of the rough math. They got to cut down on the penalties, the unforced errors, those kind of things. They got to play smart. Again, you got a quarterback that this is it. It's going to go through highs and lows, some ups and downs, but you can't have the dumb penalties. You can't have the unforced errors that are going to make his life a lot more difficult. Everyone around him has to be designed to make Maalik Murphy's life smoother and easier. And the less that you need of him to win you a ball game, the better off you are. But when you're doing dumb things, the offsides penalty, the pre-snap penalties, the holdings, the things to that effect, all of a sudden you put yourself in a bad situation. So those are my 5 keys to victory. Aaron, that's it. The other stuff, save it for another time. We had enough fun. So we had enough fun with Ketchum there. So we've done enough of social media standouts for today. So thank you guys. Go out and have a fantastic weekend. Head out to Specs. They are now fully open at this moment. So go out to Specs, load up on everything that you need for this weekend. Like I said, you got the game this weekend. You got Halloween parties coming up. Like everything that you need, Specs has got you covered. So go ahead and check out the good people at Specs. Thank you to Aaron, who does a great job of producing behind the scenes. Thank you, Geoff Ketchum, for one of the more entertaining conversations that I thought we would have or ever thought we would have. Thank you to El Presidente for his picks and always his participation. And thank you for first and foremost, and not last but not least, to all you guys and ladies who are in the chat, who enjoy this, who help. The show's nothing without you guys participating. All the time. So watching, hitting the like button, subscribe button, participating in the comments, like this is what the show's all about. So thank you to all you guys. So go out and have a fantastic weekend. It's a Friday night. One of the few Friday nights I actually have where I can actually do something. Of course, what am I doing? Taking my kid to his goaltender Lex classes. So I'll probably be at the crossover tonight. But outside of that, without that, I'll try to find something fun to do. I think I got a Halloween party on Saturday, so that'll probably be where I'm at. So, hey, everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Oh, yeah, I guess I got to take care of this lawn, too, for my HOA. So I'll be getting on that one pretty soon, too. Everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Remember what I always say, live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. We'll talk soon. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you on Saturday in the postgame show.